if this spaces, I didn't get to listen to it yet, but Carlos said this is the thing that's going to make him make a very heavy allocation to it. So I'll listen to it. If it's legit, then
yeah. So what we were talking about before when live, obviously his mom is doing well. She's relaxing now. She's disappointed when I said buy Enovix at like around $8. Was it?
that is, you called it at $8. You did.
At $8, I'm like, you should just throw a little bit into this thing. Yeah, it can go somewhere.
I remember you were being cautious because you said they made like 8,000 in revenue. You were like, just like
they still have. By the way, it's not like they haven't sold a battery. It's like maybe it's like 16,000 batteries now.
Yeah.
So they're cranking up the machine or whatever. They have one factory in California that's producing like some minuscule amount now, and a factory in Malaysia that's going to ramp next year. So I know there's a lot of good news on Enovix, but it's a year away. Let's face it.
Tell that to my call options though.
Yeah,
you had call options, Carlos?
Bro, I bought a bunch at around $10-12. I put them on the Discord. If you're a member of our Discord, if you're a member, if you're a Patreon member, you'll see.
I think you are a member.
15 calls.
Yeah,
I just never check it.
We gave you honorary status, so you can see what actual investors.
No, I pay for it. I pay for it now.
Yeah, but you got the dollar tier. I think you were grandfathered.
No, he's paying like $10. I think he's paying $10.
Yeah.
We're paying it with our own money.
Yeah, he's paying us back with our own money.
It's embezzlement. But no, I bought a bunch of shares. I have shares in each.
Him today on Twitter. SLG went up 10%. Yay! Me and Carlos are just quiet because we're fucking making bank.
SLG gives a nice dividend though. You guys keep telling me to get into some divvies.
Oh, divvies are good. I have nothing against divvies, by the way.
It's a high yield. Not that like the yield is everything, but it's good.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously we have a very
big... I've seen a lot of green. I've been seeing a lot of green in the portfolio lately. It's good.
No, we have a big episode to do on Enovix because look, even if you buy it at
Enovix,
yes, we'll fix it. Enovix,
Nazis.
Yeah, because even if you buy it at fucking 20, given this thing you listen to, Carlos,
I did the math already. I know I did the math.
Yeah, it seems like if it's gonna be the next, let's just call it Enphase or something like that. It doesn't fucking matter if we buy it now or at 23. But the question is, do you buy? I guess that's the question. And so we have to definitely.
You can, I mean, we can talk about it for 5 minutes. You can wait for a pullback. Again, this is not financial advice. The point is, there was a great Twitter Spaces today with what's his name, Cohodes. And I caught like the tail end of it, and they were addressing the short seller report. He was basically clapping back at that pig farmer pig, whatever that guy is. And he was saying some of the takeaways that I texted you guys on the WhatsApp. He was basically saying, you're going to bet. He's like, I was buying at 6. I was buying at 9. I was buying at 10. I'm still buying at 15. And I think the quote of the Spaces was, he's like, do you think I'm going to be excited if it's at 16? No. If it's 25? No. He's like, at 36? No. He goes, at 136, I may crack a smile. And this guy's holding a lot of shares. So I immediately got my calculator and was like 136 times. And I was like, fuck, I don't have enough shares.
Well, because the market cap is small. So even though $16 might seem pricey, it's only $2 billion. The market cap.
I think it's over 2 billion now. It's
2.59 billion. 2.5.
All right. So it's at 3. Yeah, it's at 3 billion.
So it's super expensive for any metrics. If dividend streams was on here, Steven, his mind would blow up.
He would be like, let me tell you why it's overvalued.
The revenue is, for all practical purposes, zero.
It's nothing.
No, literally zero. You can consider whatever they're making because the price of sales is like astronomical. So
they're making in the
millions.
Revenues in the millions.
What you're betting on is not that the current revenue, because you have to ignore that, right? You're betting on the fact that TJ Rogers is a killer. He's going to execute. His team is killers. They're going to execute. And that he's not dumping his money into junk. That's what you're betting on, in my opinion.
I think you're betting on the war machine, baby.
The war machine. That's right.
Well, they did get a U.S. military contract today, right?
That was the big news. I don't know if you can bring up a quick article yet, but they signed, and that was one of the guys that was in there had something to do with, like, he was someone on the military side explaining why a competitive.
Well, go ahead. We can do some math now. Let's figure out how many shares Johnny Boy has, because he just outed himself. $136 is 6 million. So go ahead, start dividing, guys.
So yeah, divide 136.
Go ahead, Carlos. Give us the numbers.
Hold on.
453.
453,000.
I just did that in my head.
Okay. I'm going to post in the chat. We actually did an Enovix episode 6 months ago. So if you were watching us, you might have, Might have done something, but I just put it in the chat if you want to see the episode. I'm Freelancer Finance.
Johnny Boy's holding 45,000 shares, right? Johnny Boy, do a bikini emoji for yes.
Did I do it?
And a devil emoji for no. 44,133. There you go. Not bad, dude. Not a bad. 44 range of the dog. All right, yeah. That's
Did I put the link? I don't even know.
You said it. 44,133. Yep.
All right. So just this, I mean, that's a lot of shares. The dude has a lot of conviction. He's not a young guy by any means, right? And so he's gotta you gotta see that's conviction. That's how you get rich. That's how you retire, right? So yeah, 136 is 6 million for him. I work backwards from the I want to take from there, and it's not enough.
Can you post this link? I can't post links apparently.
Post the link. No, post the link to the. We have a playlist.
No, I put the private chat so he can Emmett can post it. I can't post the link. That's an Enovix episode we did a while back.
Okay,
6 months ago.
Can I share it? Can I play that clip?
Yeah, we won't hit you with a copyright strike. Mind you, you also had seen.
You want to play the beginning?
Return in a few years, and you also saw.
This is the Enphase part.
Yeah, minus 90, a 90% drop in value. Now, if you got through that and you weathered that storm, and you were buying at 63 cents, to where we are today, you have a 48,000% return.
Crazy.
That's 48,000. My God.
This is for Enphase.
Just to do a quick Discord. Just to do a quick math on that. This is again because we're talking about just to do a quick math on that. So if you were to go and buy 98 then 1,000 shares of Enphase at 63 cents, it cost you $630. Okay. And now they're say $298 a share times 1,000. Those 1,000 shares would be worth 300 grand. $298,000.
That's your profit, basically, right? You spend nothing on it.
You spend nothing on it, and that's essentially. You're muted, Amit.
You're muted.
So is that what we're gonna get with Enovix? Is that what's gonna happen?
Well, we were just comparing what happens when you invest in like a company
at early stage.
At a really early stage. Obviously, even back then at 60 cents, Enphase could have failed. It was about to fail. 2017 or so, TJ Rogers comes in and saves it, but nobody knew what was going to happen. Yeah, I don't even think TJ expected what happened.
Well, Coho's point, what he said is the very last thing on the call was he was like, "You're really going to bet against TJ Rogers, who took Enphase from 3 to 300?" He's like, "You're really going to do that?" And he's like, he starts laughing. And when you think about it, okay, so and Enovix is what $15 now. If he's saying I won't crack a smile to 136, then you can assume that he's looking at a say $300 price target. So just do the math. Ask yourself how much you want to take out of that stock, and then see if you can, and then go backwards and see how many shares you need, and see if you can afford them. However you do it. That's how I do it.
I would say start with $1
million or $2 million.
I would say start with some research on Enovix and make sure that you think that look, it's a penny stock for all practical purposes. They make no money. I know that the valuation is kind of crazy, but let's just face facts that this can fail. So I just want to warn everybody out there that if you're investing in this company, you can lose everything. That can happen. Having said that, I've invested in this company. Okay. Right. Having said that.
Well, yeah, obviously this is all about after you've done your DD, when you want to figure out what should you allocate to this.
It's a pump and dump, exactly. So you guys get it to 25. I'm out. A third of my shares are gone.
Oh my God. We're
gonna clip this and they're gonna sue us. That's what's gonna happen.
In one of the Enphase.
Well, no. I've been saying this for a while. As soon as it's over $20, I'm selling a third of my shares.
Why?
Why? I don't need all the shares. This is what you guys keep mistaking. You don't need to own all the shares to become a millionaire. Okay. So I have my allocation. I bought more than I wanted. And so I'll sell maybe a third, maybe a quarter, and then have some profits. Pay for the other shares.
What did you buy them at?
$10 is my average.
So you would sell them at
150% return.
And that video, by the way, was not the first time, but it tanked to $11. In that video we put a link to.
Yeah.
And I had a buy order for 1,000 shares at $11, and then it went through. That's when we did the video.
Yeah.
That I got 1,000 shares, and I just kept DCAing down.
There was some guy in that thing you posted, Vitaly, where you're like, "Hey, where's everybody?" Enphase has finally hit the numbers, right? Somewhere deep into the thread, somebody, when you said something like, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything but cry," some guy posted deep in there, and he's like, "Cry." He's like, "I'm still crying. I sold my Enphase at $4. Like the dude was there, 63 cents, 90 cents, got his 4x and bounced. I mean, I'm like, you don't recover from that. It's like,
yeah. I put Enovix into a lot of accounts to hide myself from making mistakes, by the way. So I've spread it around. Just like Enphase, I spread it around.
Like, what's this in the garage? You're like, that's just some Enovix.
Well, no, it's so funny because like I even have like the SoFi account for trading. I hide stuff there because I never check that account.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think
in the chat, how is your mother? I mean,
she's good. I'll comment on that in a second, but I think either on Sunday or Monday next week, we're definitely having a full like 2-hour Enovix episode so that we can once and for all lay out
1 hour is plenty.
2 hours. Well, we're gonna have some guests, so like we got to get people to really give their perspectives.
Oh, Sunny might be on Sunday.
And we are trying to do that because he's in Europe. We're trying to have that be the episode for everybody that's watching this tomorrow. We're trying to have that be the episode where we do it live, do it at a time here where it'll be live in Europe, probably early in the morning, Sunday, our time, which should be afternoon for you guys. I think, it's only 5 hours ahead from New York. It's more like for me, it's like 8 hours ahead. So
what
I think that
9 a.m.
So I think what's going to happen is we're probably not going to be able to do that because I don't feel like it'll get scheduled properly. That's my gut feeling. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll be regular Sunday episode on the new channel. But if that does get scheduled and all parties align, then that'll be perfect for everyone in the UK and Europe. We'll have an early episode for you guys.
So financial advice, go margin on Enovix. No.
Who wrote that? I
want to just make this clear. I know we're joking around, but no, do not do this. Don't even buy it if you don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah, you don't buy an Enovix on that. You buy spreads on margin.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Oh, look at Prakash, bro.
You don't buy stocks you don't know unless Chris has told you to buy them and then Amit has followed in blindly. Okay, that's the only time.
I don't. Yo, you guys think I follow him blindly?
The only time you go in blindly.
I do the
bro. You do. You look like you follow him like you have the MetaQuest on. Running into the TV like it's okay. Oh shit! Is that profit? Did I hit some profit?
I just put that meme up, by the way.
Yo, I wish I did that on fucking Weight Watchers and Meta. Like I really wish I did that, but I didn't.
Yo, Jose Rubio, are you not entertained? What's the deal with that? What is that? We need a guest.
Look, we tried to get Tanner on, but
he's in the back. I said
no. I sent him the link, bro. Literally, like every time he clicks the link, it goes to a 404. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. This is the link that Vitaly and Carlos used as well. So I don't know what's up with the StreamYard.
Let me send him another one.
I mean, you can send him the same link, but it's being weird. So a couple of topics we got to get into. First of all, Prakash did a great job buying back those covered calls this morning. Otherwise, those would have been nasty on Enovix.
Would have lost him some kishola.
Some cash there, yeah.
I just want to point out, I don't like doing covered calls on stocks like this because you have no idea how fast it can move. Anything comes out in such a small market cap company, it just will double on you, and you lose them. So I don't know. I think Enphase is a different thing. It's a more mature company. So once it runs up too high, you can probably do that, or Google or Amazon. But I don't know. Definitely small market cap companies. That's dangerous.
There we go.
You can lose your shares.
And by the way, can we talk about that? We had a whole thing in the chat today. I was looking at just my portfolio, and I just set up the column to look at the market cap. Can we talk about the fact that Enphase's market cap is smaller than Palantir?
Why don't you show the graphic? Show the graphic so people clearly see.
It's ridiculous, man.
Bro, Palantir's more innovative. I don't know what to tell you. Palantir actually is more
innovative.
innovative.
On a plane right now, and I will find
even if they're more innovative, there's only one company here that actually makes a profit.
No, Palantir makes a profit. Relax, buddy.
No,
they made 5 cents at a MetroCard.
There's one company here that actually just prints.
Look, the market is the market. I'm not going to argue with Mr. Market. And right now, they're saying Palantir is a much more valuable company than Enphase.
I think we talked about this, but Enphase is trading with oil, and
is oil falling below $60 right now? Where's oil at?
Yeah, if oil is going down, I think
oil's at 67.
Enphase might not do so well until a fundamental thing happens, until Q2 numbers or forward guidance comes out for Q3, Q4, and then that will either lead to an explosion in the pants.
No, but this is really good because Enphase is trading with oil, and oil is getting into the low 60s. That's going to be amazing for inflation, which is going to be good for interest rates coming down.
Inflation is. We still talking about inflation? It's
no. We have to talk about inflation because your beloved Enphase.
The money's still in the system. It's not like
your beloved Enphase is fucked right now because interest rates are too high. I mean,
what's wrong with that? I'm a long-term investor.
No, I get it.
see
I get it. But my point is,
What's the
it's going to be in
problem?
the gutter until inflation goes down enough for interest rates to also.
Which
come
gives
down. So,
me some time to accumulate more shares.
I agree.
And
I'm
be a
just saying.
greedy pig about it.
You see
Are
that?
you buying right now, Vitaly?
I am. If you were in our Discord, Tanner, in fact, I'll make you an honorary member. Okay, so you don't have to pay us the $5 if you. Don't
Oh,
want
this
to.
is like when Elon was giving out blue checks. Now everyone's gonna want to fucking.
You're getting a blue check. For you, $4.99, Tanner.
Let's get Tanner's opinion on it. Tanner, would you buy Enphase right now?
No. Before you, no, would you buy Enphase, bro? Enphase's market cap is less than.
Oh wait, show
It's
that
like
again.
a couple billion. It's not that
Bro.
different.
No.
People paying
It is
attention
a
to
couple
this?
billion, dude. Look
It's
at
hard to see. Can you show the graphic?
It's 29 versus 21 billion. 29 versus
29 billion for Palantir and 21 billion for Enphase.
And
Look,
by
Palantir's a tech
comparison,
company.
15.
Tech companies get multiples. Solar companies
No.
don't yet. And
Yeah, look at
also
Johnny.
your stock is up like 5,000x.
Johnny just had a heart attack right now. Somebody go check
My
on him.
point is that there is obviously an arbitrage opportunity that is happening
That's
here, and I hope
ridiculous.
people are smart enough to do their DD right now while they have a chance to do it, because
Okay,
maybe in 6 months they won't have this chance again, right?
Okay, let's get Tanner's perspective. Tanner, would you buy Enphase?
Can you switch me and Tanner?
So one of the things that I find really exciting is that you want to be on the good side of a government. Like, so solar's the way that people want to go. It's green. People love this. Fits into every category of ESG. Like, I am just looking at Enphase whenever Vitaly posted about it at, I forget what it was, 158 or something. So yeah. I know barely anything about the company, but very interested.
We do have, by the way, Freelancer Finance does have a separate channel where we have a lot of Enphase videos, just a playlist. So if you want to go there and actually check out some of our research with actual installers too, we've talked to a bunch of people about
that's
Enphase.
What's probably gonna push you over the edge is when you hear the people that are whose entire business it is to make money, and they can pick whatever they want to install. By and large, all of them, and we've talked to installers on the East Coast, middle of the country, West Coast, and Australia. They're all saying the same thing, but that's not even the point. The point is that it's a $20 billion market cap for a company. And I think I said this in the chat in the chat with us. It's like Biden's IRA is literally telling you.
Well, hold on. I want you to set this up because Chris was like, "Why don't you buy SLG?"
Oh, he was like, "Yeah." He was saying, "Why don't we buy SLG?"
And we said, "Why don't you buy Enphase?" And you said actually something poignant. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what I said was, I said you literally have the president of the United States, right, telling you, like you're saying, the side of government who is going to win. They are literally telling you this is what the future is going to be, and all you got to do is invest in those companies. And to your point about it and being with the government, this is why I was so bullish on Enovix this morning, right? You got a government contract. This is part of the bull case of Palantir.
We're finally going to war, everybody.
Well, we're going to war. All those guys, all those night vision goggles powered by Enovix,
Capitalists everywhere are celebrating.
Well, I don't know. That was just an eye-opening thing to me, because I asked myself, what's going to 5x? Because like Amit and I talk about this. He goes, is it more likely that Palantir goes to 70 billion, right? Then something like, is it more likely that Enphase goes to 70 billion before Palantir? I think so.
It is very likely. It is so likely.
I don't know. I don't know if you can say very likely.
Hold on. It is so likely. I'm deciding. Like, look, I was waiting for under 150, a bigger drop to like seriously start converting. Even my precious AT&T, I wasn't going to convert until tomorrow. AT&T gets converted.
I mean, that's a good idea, but when you say very likely, we haven't even seen the Q3 numbers for Palantir. I think Q2 is not going to be amazing. If Q3 is what it is, and if you take Karp at his word that demand is in a year what they're getting in a month's worth of inbound, and they convert on that, you can't say it's very likely Enphase triples before Palantir. I mean, the market and what they're giving really AI multiples is just not the same for solar companies.
I think Ray said it right. Would you like to have a gentleman's bet?
Gentleman's bet.
No, because I think you can be right, but I don't think you can be that cocky about it. That's the thing. I don't think you guys.
Okay, I have an issue with that. And again, I don't. They're not.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, timing things. You're right. It's impossible. You never know who gets to where first. But I'm pretty confident eventually Enphase will reach those loftier numbers that Carlos.
I agree with you. I think it will as well. I just don't know if it happened exactly before Palantir, especially with interest rates, man. Like, you have to accept the reality. People are not going to fucking get solar panels with interest rates at 7%. It's just not going to happen, which might take it a year. Whereas every company in America is trying to adopt AI. The top tech executive, CNBC, just did a survey. Their number one goal is how do we adopt AI as quick as possible. That's a catalyst for Palantir. And that's something to think about in regards to which one's going to hit.
I actually, just so you know, I'm getting some questions ready. You might have fucked up today because you were like, don't use Chat GPT. I'm Palantir GPT. I got some questions for Palantir GPT.
Okay, yeah,
I got some.
All my answers were trolling, by the way.
I know. It was just meme after meme. I was like, what is this thing?
So we didn't finish with Tanner though. Tanner, what you're starting to look into it? Can you tell us more about?
Yeah. So can we actually talk about some real numbers or? Like, because I'm interested. Like what's the solar total addressable market right now? What's it supposed to be at by 2030?
What's the total addressable market of energy? You tell me.
I mean, for what Enphase is actually trying to do, which I'm assuming is household solar, right?
There's small commercial that they're getting into as well. There's another company. Okay. So the other company you have to research too. There's two companies that control the market. We've covered this before, but it's SolarEdge. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
SolarEdge.
It's a Canadian company.
So are they? I thought they're an Israeli. They started in Israel, but I could be wrong. But anyway,
okay, I could be.
Or it's an Israeli CEO. Either way. So they all have 90% of this sort of solar market in terms of like actually household. I'm not sure all commercial because I think commercial also has string inverters as well. So commercial also uses string inverters, not only the optimizers and the microinverters. So in either case, they own 90% of at least residential solar that's occurring right now. Two companies, that's it. So it is a duopoly. Okay. Tesla's not even, I don't even think Tesla has 1%. I'm not sure what the exact percentage of Tesla is.
Real quick, before you continue, is TAM a useless metric? I don't think TAM's a useless metric. I think
I think what's more applicable is SAM, serviceable addressable market, which is what a lot of people, which is probably what they're referring to. But I don't think it's a useless metric. That's what building out into new products and new everything is, And then also the more important part of total addressable markets is, are you growing in market share?
And they yes,
I have something.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in knowing.
Just for that, here, pop this on screen. I actually tweeted this at Enphase the other day. I don't know if you guys can see this.
And if I could also bring up companies like SoftBank and what's the other large VC company?
Tiger Global?
No.
Andreessen Horowitz?
Oh, come on. No, the big one, the big one.
Are they public?
BlackRock?
No, they're not public.
They're a VC fund, General Catalyst, Mayfield Fund, Sequoia.
Oh, Sequoia, thank you. Sequoia and SoftBank have come out and said that the total addressable markets is like the number one thing that they look for whenever they are actually going after these companies, even before management.
So we did some math before. I just looked up quickly. Just in the United States, there's around 3% solar penetration, okay, in terms of residential single-family homes. I'm only talking about single-family homes. So
it's a little bit more now. It's actually a little bit more.
Okay, let's say 4%. But you can extrapolate from there that if there's 82 million single-family homes and only 3% of them are covered only in the United States, not anywhere else, not multifamily, not the commercial. I'm just talking about single-family. That's how you can see where this can go to.
Real quick before we continue, so we can go back full screen. This is something that I went on Enphase's Twitter. They have one of the worst social media presence, by the way. And I just started digging through their Twitter, and I don't understand how this is not put on. They're not announcing this thing. This is energy management devices connected each month. This blue line here is Enphase, and here is their competition. Enphase is the light blue, PowerLay, SolarEdge, and SunPower, right? And then I guess you could say other. The green would be Tesla. They're essentially.
Can you blow that up anymore or no?
Yeah, it was perfect.
I just wish that we had like units or some unit of measure on the side. But the idea is that Enphase is going exponential while the other companies are staying relatively flat. And if you look, December 22 to now, we were in a high interest rate environment. So maybe you have a little bit of this dip here, but we're still going up. I don't know how this chart looks to you. Anyway.
And we did cover, by the way, in another episode, Tanner, even on Finance Junkies, that they're growing their actual total capacity. They're doubling it. All right. Why would you open up 6 new factories, double capacity if there's no demand for your product? Seems stupid. If they're doing that, that means they're expecting some sort of demand. And maybe this year there's some sort of a hit. Maybe the stock drops and whatever. Like everybody keeps talking about the short-term thing. I don't see any problem here in investing at these prices, considering that if they're growing over 30% and we have a 30 forward PE, And I believe they're going to be growing over 30%. They've said it multiple times. They're doubling production. There's a reason for that. So,
and is there current government incentives to switch in terms of like,
the
will
IRA,
they rebate you?
The IRA, yes, the IRA. But on the flip side,
well,
of that,
he might not know what it is. It's 30%.
Yeah, 30%.
IRA gives you, and they're also paying companies like Enphase. So I forgot how it works out exactly, but they get paid for the more microinverters they make, and they make them in the United States, which they're opening factories here.
Yeah.
They will get paid for this.
Right.
This makes it really hard for
America, baby.
On the flip side, California is one of the most prominent places for solar installation, and there's this thing that's going. We don't have to get into like NEM 3.0, but essentially it's bad. It's something that's gonna basically de-incentivize people from getting solar. And this is something we were talking about with Jesse Dow on Twitter. The point that I was making is that most of Enphase's products are not bought by the end customer. They're bought by the installers that install these into customers' homes, which means that they build inventory, right? So even if this thing goes into effect and it's not necessarily good for the homeowner, I don't know that that's gonna. It'll take a few quarters for that to hit Enphase's bottom line, because the installers would build up inventory, and so I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. I think the IRA incentives are overall a positive catalyst, even with NEM 3.0.
So
Enphase daily.
the first time that you guys talked about Enphase in a long time on this channel, and you guys get a comment saying
we
should
kind of
switch
talk
it to
about
Enphase
it all the
daily.
time. We don't need to make it about Enphase. The point is,
well, we don't need to make it about
market caps.
We don't need to make it about companies that are good and going to make you money in the long term. Let's go back to Palantir, everybody.
Well, let's end it on this, and then we'll move on, because I know we have a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Tanner, is there anything that piqued your interest? I know you're a fintech dude, but would you start the process of due diligence on Enphase after this discussion, or not interested enough?
Yeah, honestly, definitely. I remember whenever I was looking into Tesla early on, and it seems like Enphase has already had its breakout period, and now it's more like catching a great dip rather than catching it before Wall Street actually discovers the stock, which I found was more along the lines of whenever I got into Tesla, following people like Jeremy Lefebvre and Meet Kevin and them. But what was really exciting was the product was just so much better than the competitors. It was so obvious. There was government incentives to buy it. It had all of the backing that you could ever want, and it was just pure brand awareness and timing. It was the most clear trade, in my opinion. And Enphase could definitely be in that sort of niche, because it's just cheaper. like it's simply the cheaper way. What I've seen from solar financing in these things is that they will actually price them in a way that it's just cheaper than your energy bill currently over 20 years. So you have no reason not to switch.
Yeah.
And then
That's how
the companies will still get, sorry?
That's how it's spec'd. When they come to your house, they look at your energy bill, and they will allow you to install a system that generates, say, 110% of what your consumption is, so that you're giving back a certain percentage of it, and there's a buffer. It also allows you to build in a little bit of a buffer for the winter times, right? When you're not producing as much.
What's the institutional ownership of Enphase?
It's actually very high. I think last we checked, it was in the 70% plus.
I'm not actually happy about that. It does create volatility. It does mean you'll see volatility, which does give us a chance to buy, but I'm not actually happy about that.
No, but I'm saying, like, institutions are well aware that this is a leader. This is not like a hidden secret from them.
Yeah, Larry Fink knows about this.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's that new, but I think that whenever it was running up, like, it did get to some pretty lofty valuations, which I don't think ever happened for Tesla before 2020.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Look, speaking of which, the last time Enphase was at around these levels, since that point, around 130 to 150, since then, they have expanded the battery business, and they've gone into EV charging, right? So we know where that's going. And so there's more positive catalysts now than the last time that it was at these prices, and it's $6-7 billion less than Palantir. I can't believe that. I'm just
Tanner, do you agree, first of all? Basically, my philosophy is, you find 3 to 5 monopolies, or you think that are going to be monopolies. You buy those 5 companies, and then you sit down and you just wait. I'm not sure what your investing style is, but that's what I'm doing. Just finding those 5, Enphase being a majority and Tesla being the other majority.
It's a fucking gorilla. It's a gorilla. If you have a baby gorilla and you just keep giving it food, eventually it's going to get so damn big, it's going to dominate, right? That's all you got to do.
That
you got a baby gorilla
sure is an analogy.
Just keep giving him money. Just keep giving him some calls.
I'm eating dinner. I'm like, I have a good steak in Enphase, but I'm like to my wife Cindy, producer wife, I'm like, I think I gotta buy more Enphase tomorrow. She's like, yeah, you probably do.
Does she get tired of hearing you talk about this shit about Enphase, or?
She hasn't said stop, like just stop. She hasn't said that part out loud. Maybe she's thinking it. I don't know. I'll ask her later.
Honestly, I've really changed my philosophy a lot more. Like during COVID, I was really trying to find a great deal. And honestly, I got burnt way more than I made it out alive. I mean, truthfully, whenever my investing style has been so keened down as just find the No, I don't want this at all.
I'm getting looking at the different formats. Go ahead, you got it.
Okay, so
you have the floor.
What I found was lately, and I've been talking about this on the channel more and more often, is just picking like the absolute industry winners lately. So I've been talking more about my portfolio. My portfolio is, Shopify at number 1, Nvidia, Tesla, Airbnb, Salesforce, Nubank, Mercado Libre. These are some of the biggest, in my opinion, just absolute, if not second place, right? So sometimes I don't like buying the absolute tops of the markets, like the Amazons of the world, because they already own so much, or an Apple, that obviously those are market leaders. I love buying second position companies because they have so much to gain if they do have a large material advantage, product advantage versus the incumbent players. So been a big fan of that, and shifting more of my money into the fintech area, obviously. But yeah, I would agree in that statement, and look into Nubank. Honestly, everyone needs to look into Nubank.
The other
it's been my biggest favorite company lately.
The other good thing
about, I'm surprised you mentioned Salesforce. That was actually.
That's the one where like that's not an incumbent player, like a second place player. That is my big player, but I've been an investor like for a very long time, and I'll never sell. Another thing that I find along with a lot of my investments is just like top tier management teams. So like I love Mark Benioff, I love Toby, I love Brian Chesky, like I love Anthony Noto. That is why, and disregarding some valuations sometimes. Shopify is pretty hefty, Nubank, everything like this. I didn't even talk about Tesla, Elon Musk, right? But
so if those three, this is a good. Here's your segue. I mean, so if those 3 CEOs had to fight, who comes out of the cage alive?
Anthony Noto wins.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, let me segue to this because this will get us into Tesla as well.
Well, let me ask you a question first. Do you actually want to cover Salesforce for 2 minutes? I was looking at them.
I want to do Google first because that's the title of the pod, and then we'll do
Salesforce.
Oh, you want to trigger Tanner? Here we go. Everybody, get ready. Turn it to
he mentioned Salesforce.
We'll talk about at the end. I'll keep
about advertising.
All right, Google has been downgraded to neutral. Let's take a look at why, and then we'll discuss. And Tesla also started advertising today on Google, so we'll talk about that.
There's one individual stock that we are focusing in on. That is Alphabet. It saw a rare downgrade this morning with UBS cutting the tech giant from buy to neutral, citing better risk reward in Amazon and Meta. Google's parent has been attempting to boost its AI integration efforts as it fends off competition from those other tech titans, as well as Microsoft and rival search engine Bing. There, Yahoo Finance's Alec now joined us with the details of this downgrade. So why do they like those others better?
Yeah, and there's a few factors fueling this downgrade here. I do want to mention that UBS did boost its price target on the stock to $132 a share, up from the prior $123. So UBS does see roughly 10% upside when it comes to that price action side, but not necessarily upside when it comes to current growth estimates on the revenue side. Now, I mentioned some of those risk factors. One, which you alluded to, is that better risk reward skew towards Amazon and Meta. Both of those stocks have current buy ratings at UBS. Other factors include new search competition, that TBD factor surrounding generative AI and how it could potentially hammer margins at Alphabet due to those heavy tech investments. In addition to the fact that generative AI is likely going to take time to both optimize and monetize. So UBS sees a bit of a bumpy road ahead, especially in the near to medium term. So overall, there seems to be this fear of the unknown here, especially in the face of all of this competition. If we take a look at the stock price right now, though, there's not too much of a sell-off, down roughly 1 percentage point year to date. This
fell off a little bit more today. So Tanner, in front of 450 people, what is do you kind of think
you accept this rose? I'm sorry.
Do you kind of think Wall Street is right? Do you think that it's time to downgrade Google because seems like search ads might be hitting a wall?
So I mean, you guys know my opinion. But you know what? Actually, I've been thinking about it more.
Oh boy!
Because I saw that.
He's like, I'm doubling down on my opinion.
No. I'm actually not. I'm not doubling down because I saw a video with Lex Friedman and Mark Andreessen where they were talking about how hard it is to predict this future. By the way, and the likelihood that there might even be more searches and everything like this because people use this for more than just search as a therapist, as a virtual assistant, as a love coach, as an everything partner, a digital partner. And that would be very interesting to me, that if Google is just seen as like a secondary assistant for everything in life.
I don't think that would happen. I think you would have apps that are dedicated to, like, BetterHelp. Why does BetterHelp exist? Right? They build therapy into a product. I don't know if Google will become.
But ChatGPT will do that right now.
Yeah, I don't think Google's the de facto relationship coach. In the next
Google is working on all of this.
Yeah, but I don't think they win, bro. For someone to have trust with Google to tell them about their relationship problems and then use an AI to get, I don't know, because remember, people type in stuff on Google and they go to a blog and then they read about relationship issues and stuff. Google doesn't give you the answers. If you're communicating with Google, I don't think it's gonna have user interface. I don't think it's going to have.
No, that's what LLMs are for. LLMs are designed to.
No. But my point is, there's going to be startups.
To not worry about giving you the blog and tell you the answer.
That's my point. There's going to be startups that are dedicated to dating. Call it dating LLM. It's going to have way better branding, way better marketing, way less fluff that Google has, and they're going to sell and they're going to pitch to consumers. They're going to use Google's backend or Microsoft's backend, GPT, whatever, and that will be the product that wins versus Google. Now, Google might get paid as a result of that.
Hold on. I have to read this, guys, to you. I actually really want to read this, guys, to you. Let me see what. This is something I saw the other day. I'd never thought about this before. When we start talking about how great AI is going to be, there's some we got to consider here. Let's see what you guys think here. This is Eugene. It's important to think about AI model collapse and how to avoid it. Okay, think about this. The data that AI models generate. So this is about the impact that generative AI is going to have when we allow it to start impacting things, when we start allowing it into like the regular internet, right? So basically, to set this up, AI models are training on the internet as it is, and most of the content is created by human beings. But what happens when you start allowing generative AI, whether it's be LLMs writing articles, right, or in chats, or in images? So this is what he wrote here. This is just some interesting things here. The data that AI models generate could end up contaminating the training set for subsequent models. The need to avoid this progressive distortion and eventual loss of minority data characteristics. So we just highlight a little bit of what's here. Some of you guys can see this. Okay. What he's saying is, we find that the use of model-generated content in training causes irreversible defects in the resulting models. Just as we've strewn the oceans with plastic trash and filled the atmosphere with carbon dioxide, so we are about to fill the internet with blah. This will make it harder to train newer models by scraping the web. Model collapse occurs when the data AI models generate ends up contaminating the training set of subsequent models. Generative models, on the other hand, tend to overfit the popular data and often misrepresent less popular data. Just reading the highlighted parts here. This progressive distortion and eventual loss of minority data characteristics is model collapse. The pollution with AI-generated data results in models gaining a distorted perception of reality. And I'll read a little bit more. Even when researchers trained the models not to produce too many repeating responses, they found that model collapse still occurs as the models will start to make up erroneous responses to avoid repeating the data too frequently. I don't know if this is like going over a bunch of people's heads, but do we understand what's going on here?
Yeah, we understand, but I don't
Definitely.
think this is not a concern. This will get fixed. I mean, they'll just train the models in a better way. I know you're saying that it's hard to train the model that already fucked up, but they'll figure it out. I don't think it's
no. They're not saying that train the models that are already fucked up. They're saying if you're about to unleash a bunch of these language models, say onto the internet, writing articles or whatever it is, like say being pundits, right? Like weighing in on things, writing articles about finance or love or whatever it is. You unleash them on it. They were trained on human data. Then they start to contaminate the data with AI generated data, and subsequent models that train on that is sort of like diluted. It's like taking a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The same thing will happen on the AI generation side with images, right?
I want to point out that
yeah, like how does the AI know what's AI generated?
It won't know.
Or factual or
they're
factual,
saying you might have to put you might have to put a tag on it. You might have to
in
put
fact,
a tag
Unity. Let me just mention this. Unity had a problem with exactly this, where they fed bad data into their ad revenue model, their AI model, whatever they had there, and it corrupted everything. It cost them a bunch of money. That's why their stock dropped to around $18 at some point. So this is very possible that if people aren't careful and you're just reading all sorts of data, but the way they're doing a lot of this ChatGPT stuff, by the way, there are people, I forgot what it's called, like supervised, maybe Rango is someone that's supervised. It's like supervised learning where it's self-supervised, right? But you still have a human in the loop where he's telling the model basically that, hey, this is good, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. So that's still happening right now. I don't know in the future if they're going to change this, but there is a human right now in the loop in ChatGPT. That's what makes it so good.
Sure. But
okay,
it's still.
So how do you think this impacts back to Google, Carlos? Do you think Google's is going to be hard for them to give good LLMs or good results?
If like search, it's just search. Like, look, I'm not an expert on any of this, but I can sort of see the inklings of it. If you're starting to outsource more of the thinking side or the generative side to AI, say whether it's in terms of what ads to place in front of people, right? You could start to get into a feedback loop. I think someone said it perfectly in the chat. Reverb. You're starting to get an echo effect, and that could invariably go against what you're using the AI models to create, which is try to get the best result. It starts to amplify, say, results that or disproportionately amplify certain result or certain voices, and what you get are echo chambers. Like the same way that humans created echo chambers with algorithms for attention, you could now have that amplified on a large scale, whether you apply it to search results. If you're saying, for example, even if you're saying like dating, anything that you apply it to, there's a real danger there. And so I don't know what the solution is, and I don't know what the percentage of like human versus AI you need to get that balance right, but it is a concern, and it also makes me at least more bullish on the idea that like humans aren't going anywhere. Like we can't turn all this stuff over to AI right away.
Yeah, I think it's hard to. I think it's hard to put a tag or something like this that you said. I think it's a harder problem than that, because like I could go out and get a whole bunch of mistaken data from AI, go put it on a YouTube video or something that's transcripted by Google. It wouldn't be tagged as AI. I'm a human putting it out.
I know it does. It gets hard, but at least if some of that original data is tagged, you know how I say it? It's like metadata. Metadata on a file stays with it. Like if I have the metadata on a file, if I send you a Word document or whatever it is, it's really hard to strip things like the date created, the date modified. That's sort of embedded in the file, and that goes along with it everywhere. I think it's going to have to be something like that. I don't know how you do that for like an article, but we've all seen that where you see like news articles come out, and it seems like they were all written by the same.
Well, so let me ask this question, Tanner. I want your take on this, and then I want to see where you guys take it. In that Lex Friedman podcast, Lex asked Mark Andreessen the question of what is the incentive to make content? Because if the whole business model for the past 30 years has been you make content, Google uses search keywords, which is such a simple fucking thing to do, but they have a monopoly over it, to send traffic to the thing you write, and that's how business operates. If that goes away in the next decade, because people just don't care about clicking on the 10 sponsored links or whatever, what's the incentive for people to make content? Tanner, how do you think content will be discovered and found and ultimately created by the masses?
Honestly, truthfully, I haven't given it much thought. I think it's a scary thought. In fact,
it is a scary thought.
I can answer that, or at least I can offer up an opinion on that. I actually think it's going to be. I think it's going to be better, because what you're saying now is what you're talking about is a brute force search. What happens is people know what the keywords are. It's like
weight loss supplements, and then I have a blog about weight loss. Exactly. How does that get discovered if Google's not showing my shit to anyone because no one's clicking on?
But you're assuming that Google's not sending it to someone because the keyword's not there. You can talk about weight loss in a roundabout way, but not necessarily use those words. In other words, clickbait shouldn't work as well. Right.
Well, I'm not even just AI world. I'm just saying, like, in general, if I'm someone who's trying to start a supplements company, I'm writing a fuck ton of blogs to get some traffic for my company.
Right.
And Google's not showing, like, I don't even have there's no SEO anymore. SEO's gone. There's no engine optimization because there is no search in the same way it is.
Okay.
That was the philosophical question. It's like, so why do people create web pages filled with content?
I mean, there's a massive hole in that logic. Like you're just assuming.
Yeah.
Why would you not be delivered up as a search result? What changes that you're not?
Because then AI gives an answer immediately. You don't need to give a link. You just give the answer.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying
in the next 10 years, right?
Okay. You're saying if someone's looking for the answer instead of, okay, what I could see happening is, I mean, what if, you have an AI model, right? And instead of search engine optimization where they're sending it to you, someone could aggregate it. That's what I see it more as, aggregating it together, being like a customized feed. Here's like the left side of the spectrum, the right side of the spectrum of the issue of weight loss, and Amit is a prominent voice in weight loss. Why are we talking about weight loss? Well, like Amit is a prominent voice in here, and here's what he has to say. And somebody else.
No, but my question is, like, that means the New York Times,
so hold on.
Post, the big guys are always going to benefit from that aggregation, not a small blog that's getting started.
You still think page rank and the way it works, it might change. That's Google's algorithm, basically. If other things refer to you omit, right?
Yes.
That means that you are the authority on it. They're going to refer to you first, okay? And then when you talk to ChatGPT or whoever, a Bard, and you're like, well, I want to hear give me a second opinion on this. Then it goes to the next one. That's basically Google, just in a different format. It's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be, here's your answer.
Yeah, but then I guess
page
the question,
one.
But it doesn't need to show you the link.
It can just be an aggregate saying, like if you're asking about Palantir, there's no reason why you're not going to show up in the same search result as
no. But see, this is the problem.
An interview with Cart.
I have a website called dailypalantir.com. Let's say Google indexes all my articles. They use their NLPs to come up with the right answers. When someone says, why do Alex Karp and Peter Thiel get along if they have different political beliefs? I wrote an article on that. What if instead of there's a little tiny portion of like, here's where we got this link from. You don't need to click on dailypalantir.com.
According to Amit
for that information.
Kukreja on dailypalantir.com.
No, but I don't get
the answer is.
Think about this. If
but he doesn't get the click.
I don't get the click. I don't get the ad revenue. I don't get the
No, you're missing what's going to happen. What I'm saying is, Google's going to have to pay you. Their model's going to have to update to. Like,
but Google's never paid anybody when it comes to this shit. Like, outside of YouTube, they don't pay for content. They've been very strict about this. They do not.
I don't know if you've noticed what's going on with the internet, but everything is now behind a paywall.
Yeah, no, you're probably right, Vitaly. Honestly, I think that is probably where it's going to go. Is that whatever the aggregated amount of ad revenue, they'll do what YouTube does, or even YouTube Shorts.
And Facebook is doing it right now.
Shorts for every 5 shorts, they saw 1 ad. They split the ad revenue across the 5 shorts that were seen.
But wait, where's the ad here? Where's the ad? Because Google has to make money off that.
No, you're the ad.
Okay,
I'm the content.
Amit, what do you want to search?
Like, for example, someone types in that.
You're looking for
a real world example today.
Let me give you
a real world example.
Let me give you the example. It's very simple.
Erectile dysfunction, hymns.
If someone types in Palantir right now, there can be an ad for Databricks, which is a private company right now that's trying to get more clients, and that'll be one of the sponsored links. So you might go to dailypalantir.com, but right before that, you might see a Databricks ad, and let's say you're a C-suite executive and you're doing research on and you click on it, and then boom, that's how Google generates.
Amit,
so my point is,
you type in Palantir.
Go ahead.
You type in Palantir and they'll say, Palantir does this. There are other companies that offer a similar service like Bing, 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 promoted. Like it'll just be built into the AI algorithm to promote other options.
The ChatGPT screen will have a sidebar that's going to serve you up ads that are related to what
they're already doing this. They're already showing the links. They're showing on the side. You hover over it. It shows you the page. This is all being solved, okay? This is
now, I don't know if it's that easy, man. I don't know if
it's easy. This is day one.
What is the incentive of clicking on those links?
Okay,
you're going to need Databricks.
By the way, when I go on Google, and sometimes it gives you the answer, by the way, right on top, right? It answers your question, sort of. But if you actually want to know more about a subject, I'm afraid a paragraph ain't going to be enough about it. You're going to have to go a little bit in depth into it, even researching hymns, okay? So you're still going to have to follow that link, or you're going to have to follow some method to get to the next thing, because if Google is just taking the whole page, they're going to have to pay that creator anyway. So they're going to get paid no matter what. Just like every paywall is coming up right now. Every paywall, everyone. I can't click on an article now without a paywall popping up. Right?
But it's not even that, right? It's eventually it has to go to some sort of sale. So if you want, but then that's what's going to happen. If it goes to, erectile dysfunction, and then a HIMSS thing comes up going, there's a bunch of options, this, and this, and these are all promoted, then it could just go straight to the checkout. They could tell you all about that product. You won't need the blogs on the websites. The LLMs will teach you entirely about those products, but eventually you're going to have to buy it if you want it, and then you're going to their checkout. Shopify.
That's a good point. I guess the problem is all of the people that want answers, that want to show up in those erectile dysfunction searches to get a little bit of that traffic, that goes away because the LLM is so smart to find HIMSS is the best product, or to find this blog is the best blog, and then none of these other sources get traffic. That was Lex Friedman's point. Lex Friedman's point was like, that's the reason people make content, to get a little bit of that traffic, and if they get none of it, then it's kind of,
it just becomes completely corporate. Everything just becomes corporate.
Literally
the biggest money win.
Yeah, but no industry is entitled to survive. So like, we don't need the media companies to survive if LLMs will do this. If LLMs will design it so then you can learn everything that you need to learn in one easy place and then get the products that you want, then that's the world that we're going to live in.
No, I agree. That's why I asked the philosophical question, which is, what do you think this means about content? Because that's inevitable, Tanner. I agree with you. It's just kind of sucks for a lot of media companies.
I don't think so. I think you're totally wrong. What's inevitable is that we will have more artists as we free up more time of human beings to do other things. We're not going to have less artists. That's not going to happen. Okay. Here's four people on a YouTube channel that wouldn't exist.
Yeah, but that's not Amit's point. Amit's point is, what's the point of having all of those people creating the content if no one can find it or search? You know what I mean? That's his point.
And by the way, that's the data to train the LLM. You have, if that, like, here's a perfect example, and not to cut you off, Carlos, but you know, Reddit went blank over the past couple of days. Literally, C-suite executives in Google, Tanner, you might have seen this article, have been complaining that they can't give accurate results because every real Google accurate result is a Reddit post. And because Reddit went dark over the past week, people have been like, fuck Google. There's like no real results I'm getting. So imagine Reddit just blocks Google from getting access to all their data. And then imagine there's not even a Reddit anymore because there's no incentive for people to do all these answers and questions because that content can never be found. That is what Lex Friedman was talking about. That creates the void of content on the internet, which is
but Reddit is just a forum. Reddit is just a forum where people discuss different topics. It's not, I don't see that. I mean, there are some people that probably use that as content, but that's not the same as having dailypalantir.com where you're writing about that company, and you know, it's a business, right? And it's something, even if it's not monetized, it's
my example is just that if that disappears, which Reddit did for a week, it dramatically affects the search results and the data that the LLMs use, in your point, Carlos, to train. So if we don't have that data, the LLMs, like Tanner, you're like, they're just going to give you the best answer. Well, if there's no data, because no incentive to create content, which I think is a stretch, but let's say that happens, they're not going to give you the best answer. There's not going to be any.
Well, they're just going to give you the same answer, and then it's going to amplify itself, because if that's the only answer that it comes up with, then it's like, it's the best answer by default. Then it becomes the only answer. And that defeats the purpose of having AI is to get out of that. So,
yeah. So, but also if there are non-paid, you know, advertisements, for example, they still might have to, you know, pay for the content. They might have to create some sort of system to say, you know what, we do need more blogs. We do need these things. And we will shell off a percentage of our ad revenue to the creator side to actually feed the, you know, the algorithms. So, or feed the AI. So there could be some sort of revenue split similarly to YouTube to actually create the content to allow the advertisers to then promote on those searches.
I think that's the most likely, but Google has never done that for articles. I mean, YouTube, they have to do that. They're not going to get the world's videos if they don't do that. But for articles, they've never done that. So
don't they have to do that for the news now?
No.
They have. Someone is paying the news. Maybe it's
Australia is trying to get them to do that shit, and Google and Facebook are like leaving Australia. They're like, "Fuck you, we're not doing."
Say that again. You're saying
I think it was Australia or Canada. They're trying to be like, "Hey, if you guys don't pay for independent news publishers, it's Canada. Then you're gonna have to leave the country." And so Facebook literally stopped news from appearing on Canadian news feeds because they're like, "We're not going to give these guys more money. We're giving them a fuck ton of traffic. So either change your laws or we're leaving."
But that sounds a lot like when email was becoming, a prominent, that the post office wanted 1 penny per email. Do you remember that? They tried to pass a law.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's bullshit.
It was because people weren't writing actual letters anymore. It was like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Post office.
Here, this is funny. I just pulled this up. Meta to pull news from Facebook and Instagram in Canada.
Yes,
wow, this just happened.
It was a week ago. Yeah, they did this in Australia, and Australia finally caved.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
so share the article. Massive issue here.
But see, that's my point, right? That's my point. Like, this is this is the issue. You know, your argument is that Google will be forced to pay these publishers. They've historically because Google and Facebook have a monopoly on the internet. They control the traffic, which means they control everything. So they want to pay as little as possible for content, which like Facebook has never. Facebook barely pays these Instagram stars, right? Because they're like, look, Instagram model, you're getting fucking $50,000 from Fashion Nova to post your ass. Why do you need us to pay you? We're giving you all the traffic, so just keep posting on Instagram. So if Google's like, hey, Washington Post, the only reason you're dying, you're not dying media company, but you're like irrelevant media company in the context of today's media still relevant is because we give you traffic, then we're not paying you shit. So if that changes in the future, like the New York Times, a lot of their traffic comes from Google.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The day that Facebook or Instagram pays somebody, now they're not a platform, they're a publisher.
Exactly.
They're open up to so many fucking lawsuits.
That's a great point.
Right.
So Tanner, how do you resolve that? How do you resolve that? If Google is paying everyone to make content, aren't they like the de facto publisher now?
They're gonna get sued they're gonna get sued out of existence.
Lobbying. I don't know. Change the laws, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have every answer. I'm just thinking about it the way that, you know,
you're the Google guy. You're the one who
what's the incentive to post if no one's going to click to your own advertising platform? Like,
okay, well, Carlos, let's get your take on this. Tesla is advertising now on Google. I'm pulling it up. What were your thoughts when this news broke?
I thought you were making for that tweet that I
did you thank the super chats first of all? There was a couple of them.
Oh, let me get the super chats. Okay, so we have
man. Let me just put like.
Nonsense.
Can I point out how fucking lame Chris is being in the chat by saying he asked us to stop talking over each other, so then we did, and then he's going see. It's like, dude, you pointed a flaw.
I think Chris has a drinking problem. I didn't want to bring it up.
Chris going to 0. Chris going to AA.
I think he has a serious drinking problem. Then he goes on a pod and just shits on the pod he's on, basically. So
yeah,
I'm not
dude,
sure what's wrong with that guy.
Comment. He said it like 3 times in a row. It was a good.
He's almost annoying like Matt Money. Matt Money going to 0. Same fucking thing over and over. Goddamn.
Here's my this was my response.
But I still love you, Matt and Chris. But honestly, come on.
I'm sharing my screen to tell you what my response to this was. I was like, wait, so a Twitter war was started and Tesla stock burnt down for weeks over 18 sidebar spam. I mean, ads. This is a joke. This is not advertising. This is
advertising. This is search-based advertising.
This is ridiculous.
What happened? Can you explain what happened?
The point, okay, Tesla's like, we're going to start advertising.
Oh, these little
Elon's thing was like, you know, if advertising is done well, it would look more like content. Did you see what he posted from Vogue the other day?
Yeah.
He posted something. Okay, fine. Okay, but then people are like, look, they started advertising. And it's like,
Elon's like, give them $10,000 budget and let them advertise.
This is what a Twitter war was started for. Like, and this is what Tesla stock created like 10%, 15%.
No, but this is the power of Google, bro. People are searching for EVs, and Tesla's little blue links come up, and people.
It works. By the way, it works.
It does work. It definitely works.
Yeah,
it works.
It works.
It's worked for 20 years, right?
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
How do you think Google works? Right. Search for EVs, and if a little thing on top comes,
can I ask? Okay,
just clicks the first thing.
The 3 of you, have you guys personally ever?
It doesn't matter what the 3 of us do.
No, but
Google
I'm asking.
a lot of money.
I'm just saying, but they can get paid. Google can get paid a lot of money to host those ads, but I'm questioning the results. That's what I'm questioning.
Look, if the results did not make these people money who are posting the ads, they would not keep advertising with Google.
No, that's true.
In the chat,
that's a ridiculous comment
in the chat, guys. In the chat, guys,
very effective.
Does anyone in the chat click those sponsored
Tanner,
ads?
I think he's taking your side. Google's not effective.
No, Google's very effective.
Google's not effective.
I'm not saying it's not either. I'm just saying this is not what I had in mind when I thought about.
Of course,
ads.
people.
Matt Money, I'm with you. Google is 0.
Yeah, maybe Elon's just trying something out and seeing what happens. I think they're going to come up with a good video eventually and then blast it everywhere. That would be like the real ad. But these Google ads were not. Tesla's keeping Google in business, right, Tanner? That's what's so.
There you go.
I think Freelancer Finance put up more ads than Tesla did. I'm sorry, that's nonsense. That's got to be like, first wave. Like,
so how many people use DuckDuckGo? How many people use that? You use that? Really? Use it?
Yeah, sometimes I care about my privacy. Sometimes I don't because I'm invested in Google and all these other.
Google gives.
So sometimes I'm like, I want to support Google. I'm going to search on Google, but DuckDuckGo is more private. It is true.
Google
like,
gives better results.
I've never cared about privacy, bro. I've never given a fuck.
Well,
about it.
you're
Like,
on YouTube. We were sharing our lives
no,
basically.
no,
We
no.
obviously care very little about privacy.
No, it's a function of you being 25 years old, honestly. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
it's
to
the
like,
younger generation.
I'm not saying that to be like whatever.
Says Tanner, who's like
you
3.
how old are you, Tanner? 32?
I'm 25. I'm the same age as him.
You're 25. Okay,
the
so you
younger
guys,
generation, he called you.
guys, like it's rough, man. Like you really.
What would you call it, Vitaly?
What?
No. You're funny because you're part of his generation. But anyway.
Yeah, you
I
guys
mean
just
us.
don't.
I mean,
You guys
both of
just
us.
don't know. You guys just don't know what truly being private or truly being off the grid really is. I mean, and so it's a bit of a shame because this is how privacy or freedoms get eroded over generations. The next generation's born into the current generation's like worst nightmare.
I'm just saying, what are you going to type on DuckDuckGo that is so special that you can't type into Google that would be weaponized against you or something outside of pornography, which I don't think is a big
Well,
deal.
no. So everything
No
gets
one cares
stored on
about
Google
your
servers,
porn.
right? You type in everything, even though they have a way. They say they have a way to remove it, but I don't really believe them, honestly. So if you type in everything, DuckDuckGo will not store your search results.
But what are
At
you
least
typing in that's
supposedly.
so special that you don't want to preserve?
Let me correct that. I think they anonymize everything off the bat. So it's even though they're using what you search for, they're anonymizing it. I don't think Google's anonymizing it. They're taking all your data, your IP, who you are, everything, collecting it, building a profile on you. They know where you are. They know what you're doing. You're using Gmail, whatever. DuckDuckGo is trying to be a little bit more private about it, where they're not trying to build that profile on you directly. Supposedly, I don't know exactly.
Look, I'll give you a non like NC-17 version of why you would want to use something like that. So there are some times where, like, I'm okay with, say, Google having a profile on me and knowing what my interests are, whether it be to serve me ads or if I go on if I'm doing search results or if I'm on YouTube. But sometimes, like, if I have this account connected to something where I'm searching for my kid, right? I don't want to mix in those results. I don't want to get an ad for like Dora the Explorer every 5th ad because I don't want those things to be intermixed. Sometimes I'm searching for something that's outside of my normal interests. So if I'm like, I was trying to
But that's what incognito or multiple profiles is for.
No, because
Google's
that's literally what it's for.
No,
If your argument is to use a different, hold on.
No.
Your argument is to use a different web browser to not get Dora the Explorer ads. That has nothing to do with privacy.
That's an example. It's just
It's a very silly example.
If I'm okay with the company developing a profile on me, there's certain things I don't want to contaminate. Say the profile that they have.
Can you give me something more realistic for why you're?
All right, let's face it. This is all about porno. Let's just be honest.
Porn. That's what I thought. It was about porn, right? Like, what else are you so afraid of Google knowing about you?
It's not afraid. It's not afraid of that. Like even right now, I have.
No. Let me give him a real example. Okay, let's say you want to do some research. All right, how to build a BOMB. You want to do that. Okay.
Why would you search that?
Whatever you want to learn about. You want to learn about chemistry. All of a sudden,
you wouldn't type how to do that for chemistry.
No. My point is. Look, there's people who actually, there's a good story about, I forgot, it was the 60s when the guy was building, a little kid was building rockets. He was actually shooting up rockets and he eventually worked at NASA. I forgot, there's a movie made about this. You think a kid now can learn about rockets, start using them and then sending them into space? That's not going to happen right now.
I don't think that's the point. I don't think that's
as soon as you start looking how to do chemical reactions and how to do that, you're going to have the FBI at your door, or they're going to start a profile on you immediately.
No, you won't.
Or they'll start a profile on you because Google, okay, let's face it, these companies have, FBI and government does have access to this if they need it. And there's systems that Snowden has shown that everything like that is tracked. So the more private you can be about anything, it's probably just better just to keep privacy.
VPN is probably the even better.
VPN, but DuckDuckGo, like all these things are actually important to just help you keep some privacy, even if you're not trying to be a bad guy. It's just necessary.
You have to give me an example out of some absurd terrorist attack or Dora the Explorer. And I don't know what.
I
literally don't.
Honestly, again. I hate to say you're 25. You just don't.
But give me an example, then, Carlos. Don't just use my age. Give me an example. What is something to search that's so special?
Here's an example. Like even on Google, I have different sets of interests that I have. Right. And so I might be into like a certain kind of music or an MMA or finance. I don't want, if I'm on my finance profile, I don't want to mix it with other results. I want that to be specific to just that interest. Even just keeping interests separate. That's what it is. And if they're developing a profile on me, every time you mix something else into it, it messes up the results. It's not even about, I mean, we're just joking around about like porn. It's not about that. It's just about like, there's some things that I search for that are outside. Like, okay, an example is if you guys have been following, I've been having this battle with these raccoons the last couple of days, and we had to do a bunch. So I've been doing a lot of research on different companies for that. I don't want my entire feed to be about pest control now. I just
So
wanted
do it
to
on
get
incognito. None of your ads will be affected.
No, incognito mode it's stored. It just doesn't store it in my search history. It doesn't mean that it's not going.
Yeah,
into
but it's not going to affect your algorithm, is what I'm saying. So
what are you talking about?
I'm sure your internet provider can see it.
I'm getting ads
for affect your ads.
All right, man. I'm
Look,
getting ads
I-
for that shit now. Pest control right now because
I think Noah actually said it pretty correctly. I don't know if you can show it, but he says the "What are you afraid of?" argument is terrible. What are you afraid of? The government should have a key to your house then. Then you shouldn't
What
have
are
a
you
worry, right?
talking about?
No,
What
it's a
type of
similar thing. This is a
ridiculous
key-
anarchist
bring up the
libertarian
comment.
logic is that? Are you insane?
bring
Are
up
Yeah,
the-
you know
bring
what?
up the-
You think
bring
I'm
up-
an anarchist?
No, I'm saying that. Okay, so let me give 2 responses first, then we'll get into this. Number one,
Bring up Sergeant Fighters.
hold on, let me give my
comment.
responses first because I got to give my responses because these arguments are just not good. Number one, the raccoon stuff will disappear in a couple of days because Google will update their algorithm. They'll realize, oh, Carlos doesn't care about raccoons anymore. He solved the problem.
Yeah,
So
because you're
that'll
not
be solved.
continuing to click on the
They're not going
raccoon
to,
stuff.
yeah, they're not going to show you that. Number two, if you care that deeply about your algorithm not being affected, have multiple profiles on Google, which is fine. That doesn't answer why you need DuckDuckGo, which was
Or
the
I could
initial
just open up DuckDuckGo whenever I'm doing something that's outside of my normal, and I could just use that one browser
That's
for that.
fine, but that
Can you
that's
read
fine. But
Sergeant
hold on,
Fighters
let me
thing?
finish.
Please bring up the paid.
Wait,
chat.
can I finish? Because this is the problem. We keep talking over each other. I didn't even finish. That's fine, but the problem is But the problem is you guys said DuckDuckGo is needed for like this privacy thing. If you don't want your algorithm to be messed up, that's a different reason for DuckDuckGo. That has nothing to do with DuckDuckGo's intention, which is about privacy.
No, he's wrong. I don't agree with that. The algorithm being messed up. I don't
Yeah, and so Vitaly's examples make more sense to me, but the problem is these are absurd examples about making BOMBs, which I don't think are
It could be
that
anything.
important. So
It could
I
be-
still before I read the super chat, I don't think you guys have accurately
Oh,
proved.
okay,
this.
okay, fine.
Hold
I'll
on,
give you.
can I
I'll
finish?
give you a
Can
concrete
I finish?
example. No, I'll
Can
give
I
you a
finish?
concrete example.
But let me finish
Actually,
the last sentence.
there was a case.
I have one more sentence to finish.
Okay.
I have one more sentence. I don't think you guys have done even a 1/2 percentage point of analysis on me and Tanner being 25 and us not getting it versus your like extreme examples that obviously don't make a lot of sense. So I don't think it's
Okay.
an age thing at all.
Well, we'll read this and I'll give you a concrete example. Actually, go ahead.
Your PII is very important. Trust me, I was a federal officer with DHS for 17 years. The more info people have on you, the worse off you'll be president in the future.
Why do they say that, Amit? Is he making that up?
So,
Well, I'm just. But this is
He's just
also
making that up.
ideological. This is also coming from someone's perspective that you could disagree with or agree
It's
with.
not
This has
it's not ideological. The people that he's referring to when he says the worse you'll be off in the present and the future. There's real people that suffered real consequences that made him say that.
I don't know how that relates to Google, bro, and searching for shit. I don't. And you guys haven't given good examples because there are none. Because we all search on Google and we all give up our data for free. That's
I
the
forgot
problem.
who it was,
truth
Meta or
is-
Google. No, I'll give you a concrete example. There's a couple of cases where people were outed. They did not want to be outed. Okay, but the algorithm used what they knew about them and served ads to also their friends. I think Meta also had the same issue. So those kinds of things where their privacy was invaded, where they did not want other people to know. That's why
You're
it's
saying
important.
that they were
What?
gay.
So what? So
They
they
were
send
outed?
your friends. They send your friends pictures of dildos and say this is because of Tanner's
Well, see,
requests.
now you're making-
You're just
now-
getting.
Now
stuff
you're making
and
light.
You don't
You're
know
actually
why.
making light of someone who took it seriously to be not outed and was outed. So you're making light of that. And I
No,
forget
but
if
you have
it's
no
Meta or
idea
Google.
where it's from. That you're not outing anyone.
Yeah, I'm not blaming
How would you
Facebook
know-
for outing someone at all. There's
Okay,
like,
and
that's
there's
a
also
threat.
You're not
happened with
outing anyone.
I think a girl was pregnant or something, and she was told she was pregnant because of the symptoms she was searching for, and it was serving to her mother as well. And she was a young girl.
Oh,
so
it's
there's
Yeah,
all-
I've seen those
my,
things.
my point is there's all these situations where you do not want people, even if they're close to you, to find out certain things, okay, including the government. You just don't want that. And here are situations where it's happening.
Then
That's
you have
where
to get off
privacy
the
is
internet because you're not get
No,
like,
see, but this is my thing. This is my
that's
thing.
not the
Only,
answer.
I'm
That is
sorry,
not
right
the
there.
answer.
Hold on, right there. Only a 25-year-old would say you have to get off the internet, meaning
It's
like
true.
that's just the way it is, bro.
It's true.
It
It's
doesn't
absolutely
have
true.
to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. That is.
But
the wrong answer.
Carlos, no, but
Wrong
this goes
answer,
to the
dude.
broader
Ahmed,
point.
you are so wrong on this. It's sort
Sorry,
of ridiculous.
wrong answer, dude.
It's sort of ridiculous.
You guys
how
realize
wrong
why the internet is free, right? Because we've given up our data. We've all collectively
true.
decided the best YouTube videos are going to get recommended because I don't pay for YouTube, right? So at that point, if you've conceded, you don't want to pay for all this shit. You want things to be coming to you algorithmically recommended. You're going to give up some privacy. My question is to what extent? And I think there's a limit. But the idea that you need to use DuckDuckGo because you're hiding some searches that are so unique, I still have yet to hear an answer.
That's
of what
what
are
you
those
have.
searches.
That's what you have to do right now. I'm not saying that I don't agree with the current model. I think this is what I think. Okay, if we are the product, why don't we get Why? Okay, if I'm using Google more than somebody else, why don't I get a little dividend from my data?
I can give you the answer.
Why isn't that part of a fuck? If we can write laws to invade people's privacy, why don't we write laws that say, dude, if you're you right now, you're creating a lot of content for Google, right? And there's a lot of ads that they're serving up. Why don't they give you a certain a dividend, a piece of that data that you're creating, that you're helping to train their algorithms and serve up ads to other people, not just the ads
I can give you the answer to that.
You know what I mean? Why is my data not like value? It's the new oil. They're literally
so wait,
mining
what do you mean
free.
a dividend? Like
what I'm saying is everything that you do leaves breadcrumbs around the internet, and it's data that those companies use to create profiles, even if it's indirect or anonymous. What I'm saying is, if we are creating the data that these companies need in order to be more effective at serving ads that they charge and make money, why don't we get a dividend for that? Why don't we get
Noah said it. Brave Search pays you for your own search engine, or for your own search data. So if that doesn't become popular and people don't find it a big enough reason to switch, then the continued large player.
I'm sorry. The problem there is not that people need to switch. That should be legislated. It should privacy. That should be
why.
What I'm saying is that should be legislated to all the companies that use your data. Yes, I think that's
okay. So let me just make a point of it. There's a company trying to solve this. It's called MePrism. Okay, I know them because Palantir actually invested them a little bit because Palantir believes in this.
It's going to zero.
No. Listen, and let me finish, guys, because we are talking over each other too much. Please let me actually get the point out. MePrism is a B2C company that's like, hey, Carlos's ethos of like, hey, if I post that I'm a conservative on Facebook openly, and then Facebook shows me these conservative ads, I should get a taste of that because, you know, those advertisers are paying for my data. There's two problems with this. Number one, your data is not valuable. And this is, if you are narcissistic and egotistical enough to believe that the stuff you do on Google is valuable, insofar as all of the other people's stuff is amalgamated with what you're doing, meaning it doesn't matter if Carlos is a conservative if we don't know if someone else is a liberal, meaning we need all of that data together to then segment and create different consumer segmentations of how those ads are served. So if they give you a piece of the pie, they have to give everyone a piece of the pie. Hold on. As soon as that happens, there's no shareholder value. Because Google and Facebook don't become the trillion-dollar companies that they are if they're giving out billions of users cents on the dollar, pennies on the dollar every single time you produce a piece of data. Second of all, how do we qualify what is real data? You posted that MAGA 2024. Is that enough for us to be like, okay, that's good enough for us to fuel the advertising to Carlos so he gets 2 cents? Like the idea that should be legislated and companies should now be
I'll give you a realistic example.
But Brave has figured it out. They already do this. It's
no. I think you're confusing getting paid for the data for it should be our data. Okay, it should be my data, and Google should say, hey, are you okay with me using it? And if I am, opt into it.
Apple already did that. Apple did that with iOS 14.5.
Google and Apple allow you to see transparently what they're collecting.
Carlos is going further. Carlos is saying if I post a Facebook post and Facebook's using that in their big ass machine to serve ads, I deserve some of that. My point is that means everyone needs to get paid. Everyone's a little content creator just for posting a meme, which is ridiculous. That is
not ridiculous. It's not.
So how much do you want Facebook to pay?
I'll give you data. I'll give you data. I'll give you something that makes more sense. Okay, something that makes more sense. So every day that you go and you drive right now, right? Everybody's in their cars. Everyone's driving all the time. So Waze, everyone that's on Waze, Waze now has data, not just on where people are going. It has data. It has traffic data, and it knows traffic driving patterns. That is monetizable to Waze in ways outside of just Amit passed a cheesecake factory. Let me send them an ad, right? That's what they tell you it is. Oh, they see that you passed it. Let me survey up that ad. But having information on driving patterns is valuable data. And they could say share that with local governments, right? That could help them improve whatever it is within the community. That's what I'm talking about. It's the secondary and tertiary levels of data that no one person's contributing to it. It's the aggregate data of everybody together that gives a higher level understanding of human behavior. That's what I'm talking about.
So everyone deserves to get paid for
absolutely because we're creating the freaking data.
But then there's no shareholder value. You're not speaking like a capitalist. You're speaking like a communist.
No, what you're saying is,
of course, the shareholder. Hold on. Of course, there's shareholder value because Spotify's alive. Okay. Because,
how is that a good example?
What?
No, I'm giving you an example because they have to pay.
I'm about to tear this example up because I know a lot about Spotify.
No, what I'm saying is they're obviously paying the record companies. Consider us the record companies. It's our data. They should pay us for our data if we opt
Spotify's
into
not
the system.
profitable. They haven't been profitable for 10 years.
I know, but my point is that there are companies out there that do have to pay third parties
what?
for whatever
Like who?
data.
Like
Consider music data.
Like who?
Consider. Oh my God! I'm telling you right now. Forget about the Spotify directly. I'm just giving you an example where there's data that someone has to pay for fucking data. You're trying to divert the conversation.
No, but I'm really not trying to divert. I'm trying to say
you're wrong about this.
I'm trying to say
Basically,
shareholder value goes away if a company
I
has to
own
give
the
all their
data, or at least I should own the data, but I don't. Google and other companies should pay a certain tiny little percentage, nothing that destroys them, but it should be something that I opt into. Okay. That's all. That's all we're saying. It doesn't have to be 90% of their
exactly. And you're not talking about
10% of their windfall.
Okay, right now, a dividend is of 3%, 2%, whatever it is. We're talking about a small percentage on that, just to incentivize people to actually opt into it.
Are you guys capitalists? I want to know.
I am.
Because like if you're capitalists, you let the user vote with their own wallet. And there's options out there that are currently doing what you're asking. And so if there was real incentive, VCs would fund those companies and those would be the big players. There's no incentive to give users a dividend on their data, or else people would be using Brave. So it's just, it's a want that you have that doesn't mean anything.
I think you're wrong about that, because there are examples when companies get too big. Standard Oil, AT&T, they get broken up by the government. It interjects, it interferes, it picks certain winners. Okay, even oil is a certain winner that gets subsidies. And then now we're finally getting EV subsidies. They're picking winners all the time. So you saying that there's just open capitalism everywhere is not true.
Yeah, no, and that capitalism argument, it's kind of annoying.
It's just not true.
You're not a capitalist. In a capitalist society, that's the way it is. It's like basically dog eat dog, no rules, it's an anarchy, man. It's not anarchy. You can make fucking money.
But you're also not addressing a huge point. You're saying you want a small dividend on the total. What you're asking for is what Microsoft Rewards is giving you for the thing. You want, after 3 months of using them, you want $10. It's nothing.
It's insane.
It's nothing. You're getting an aggregate of millions and millions of people. To an individual person, you get $2 a month.
Is it valuable?
Of course it's valuable, but it doesn't mean you deserve anything.
And if it's valuable, it should be paid for.
Okay, so let's do an example. Vitaly said 10%. Google did $60 billion in revenue last quarter. 10% of that $6 billion divided by 5 billion users. You want 1.2 cents? That's what you want, Carlos?
And then
because how do we give it out? Because also, does Tanner deserve more of a Google dividend than you? Because he uses more Google?
Yes.
Like, how do we?
If he's generating, if he is,
what do you mean? How do you figure it out?
This is about generating more data.
No. This gets very complicated. Because what if Carlos searched for stuff that's actually way more monetizable? Because Tanner was searching for like makeup for his girlfriend.
Hold on. You're fundamentally let me just say this. You're fundamentally misunderstanding what I'm meaning by data. You think that it's about generating traffic for sales. It's about understanding people, the psychology of people. This is what it's about. Okay, it's not about what I'm searching for per se. It's about habits and understanding human psychology and understanding people in groups, from families to communities to cities to states to countries. This is what that data is about. Okay, everything that you do, your driving habits, what you do when you get up in the morning, when you go to the gym, what you eat, all this stuff together makes a profile of civilization. That is very important.
But you're also benefiting off of how civilization has changed from all this transparency in the data.
Hey,
so
you're right too.
Back in the day, 20 years ago, whenever people, 20 years ago is a long time. 15 years ago, roughly, whenever the first forums were coming out.
You were 5. I was 25. I was your age 20 years ago.
I'm saying, okay, 15 years ago when I was 10 and forums were the big place. Okay. People would always say whenever they were first logging onto the internet, do not put your name, do not put anything. You have to keep the anonymity. And then slowly but surely our names have become literally our full names, and people can know us and they can Google us. And what no one is giving any credit to in this conversation is how much better that made the internet experience. Personalized advertising is an amazing experience because you get what you truly want.
No, I actually agree with Tanner. Tanner, you're
100%
right.
Because that's how capitalism works. You get to the cream of the crop.
Hold on, you're right, but at a certain point,
I like this Canadian.
No, yeah, you're actually right.
Sorry.
And there is massive value here. As a capitalist, this is why I'm investing in Google and Meta. These companies are using our data to create massive value for shareholders. But at the end of the day, if there was a vote put up and I got to vote on it by the government, I think a lot of people would say we should control our data and we should be able to opt in or opt out. That's it.
They already allow you to do that.
No, they don't. Okay, they hide it, and there's so many. Oh my God, they hide it in so many places. tell in the chat. Go ahead, do a little poll. How many of you have found the little places that Google and Meta and all these companies are hiding the data, where you have to go find it and figure out a way to get it? If I talk to my mother about it, you think she'll know where to go?
What do
Okay,
you mean?
Carlos,
say that again?
If you talk to your mom about where to get this Google data and how to block Google from getting data,
obviously,
do you know where she knows where to go?
She won't know at all. No, I agree. I don't know where to go.
It's almost like Waze knows where to take you because it knows where you are. I mean,
on the point of
imagine typing in your freaking address every single time. You guys give no credit to how much the data actually makes your experience personalized.
First of all, I agree with you on a
if
lot.
I'm using, it
doesn't mean you shouldn't have
a
access
map.
to your
If
own
I'm using a
personal
map app to, if I'm using a map app to GPS myself somewhere, yes, I do expect that it would know my location.
You going on DuckDuckGo Maps?
I would expect it to know where my
I
location.
still use MapQuest.
let Carlos finish. Let Carlos finish. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, yes, that's a silly argument, because if I'm using an app that's designed to navigate me somewhere, of course I'm going to put in that data, right? You understand what I'm saying? But do they need other data other than that? I was around when you were 5 years old.
You don't know why they need the data.
Hold on. I don't give a shit why they need the data. I just want to get paid for it.
No, but they need to know where.
Tell me
to know a lot of
things,
things, Carlos. To give a map.
Tell me what you're collecting on me that's outside of that. If that's okay, here's the thing.
They do.
This was a big thing. This was a big thing.
It's in the terms of service that none of us read.
By the way, it's 11:17.
Hold on. This was a big thing.
This is good. Vitaly, you could leave if you need to, but this is good.
This was a big thing back in the day. Whenever the Facebook like button appeared on any search page that was outside of Facebook, they got the data on what you did, the traffic that would happen on that site. Are you okay with that?
Say that one more time, Carlos.
Okay, so if you had a Facebook account, right, and then Facebook had this thing where they would have like Facebook likes. It was like, I don't remember what year this was, like maybe 2006 to like 10. I don't even see this much anymore, but like every web page had like a like button on it, a Facebook like button on it. By clicking that like button, it would give Facebook access to whatever it is that you did on that page.
But by the way, just to your point, Carlos, they actually track you now with like a little pixel that you can't see, so they just know that you went there, and that's it. And they
so it still exists. I mean, you could Cindy could probably say something about this. Cindy has a Shopify store. I did Shopify drop shipping when I was in college. The only way I got sales was because Facebook had a pixel that connected to Shopify that aggregated, to Tanner's points, billions of pieces of data. This is the interesting about this. Shopify and small businesses are benefiting off this massive data that Facebook gets. And if Facebook had to pay dividends, it would not be the same.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So what you're saying is, if my model was introduced, where you would tell people, right, the data, and you were transparent with people about all the data that you are collecting on them, right, and you had to pay people and they had to opt in. You're saying that the only way that the American businesses can succeed is this model. You're saying that every business would just suddenly collapse tomorrow.
No. My bigger point, Carlos. No. Let me answer that. My bigger point is, it sounds like nonsense, but I have an incomprehensible understanding of how in legislation, if Tanner does 20 times more searches than you, or Tanner posts, hold on, let me finish. Let me just finish.
You're misrepresenting. You're talking about. I'm not saying what you're typing into a search bar. I am talking about the data that this device collects on you everywhere, everything you do, right? Even, for example, the fact that it can hear what I'm saying. I'm talking about Jamaica, and in 20 minutes, I'm going to get a fucking ad for Jamaica. Are you okay with that?
If I want to go to Jamaica, yeah, I'm actually okay. I want to go to Jamaica. Like,
yeah, because you want to go to Jamaica.
But I want to go to Jamaica.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Wait, I got a joke. Jamaican me crazy.
Jamaican me crazy.
No, but Carlos, let me just
finish.
Let me finish this one point.
I finally used it.
If your argument is human psychology is the basis of this massive corpus of data, and you're saying we all deserve to get paid for that, and legislatively that should be in law, I don't understand how these 80-year-old politicians are going to help Sundar Pichai figure out is it just an equal split? Is it based upon how many searches? Is it based upon how many clicks? Is it based upon all the other thousands of variables you're talking about? I have zero idea as a shareholder of Google.
The companies themselves. I'll tell you how you figure it out. The companies themselves have the data on how valuable.
And you think they're going to come up with good legislation?
Let me finish my point, right? If I'm going to finish,
dude, are you going to ever let anybody else talk, or you just got to monopolize this whole fucking thing?
The companies themselves have the data on how important your data is, because otherwise they wouldn't be mining it. I know how much the diamonds in the mine are worth because I'm going for them. I'm digging them out, right? So I know how much it's worth. It's the same sort of deal. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it should be transparent. And it should be something where, for example, if I say, I don't want to be on this platform anymore, I don't want to be part of, say, Facebook's platform, I should be able to take my data and take it with
Well,
me.
there should be a way to erase all your data so they can't use it.
Everything that you're saying is completely legal. You can say all your data. You can have it fully forcibly removed. Okay?
I'd love to see what the breakdown is in the chat of who agrees with me and Vitaly and who agrees with Amit. Even though maybe
no, wait, Carlos, you just said Facebook has all the data, and if they're making
I
the
agree with
legislation,
TJ the wheel deal.
you don't think Facebook's going to make
Enphase.
you don't think Facebook's going to make some crappy legislation to give users a horrible slice of the data if you let Facebook decide what their diamonds are worth? How do you think that's reasonable as a form of legislation? Because if the politicians aren't doing it,
legislation get to decide what a company's profit
the legislation just decides what's legal and what's not. And what I'm saying is, if we are anything that, dude, do you contribute to anything that has value and not extract value from it? And you're saying that the value is on the other side of it, right? But what the value that you're extracting from this, what you're talking about, Amit, is such a fucking tiny piece of the value that you're generating.
I don't think so.
No idea.
Yeah.
Seeing my friends' photos from high school gives me a lot of nostalgia, and Facebook being able to aggregate. No, seriously, connecting with people around the world is really good for me. Facebook dating came out the other day. If I meet my wife from Facebook dating because of the data they've this is a serious thing.
So wait, so Meta's going to do better now?
Everyone is taking this seriously.
That's all Vitaly hears. My call options are going to print.
Yes, Facebook dating.
Tanner, go ahead. Facebook is valuable to use, of course. Okay, and the whole idea that if you wanted private data on the internet, you can pay.
I don't want private data. I'm missing the point.
Let Tanner finish. I interrupted. Let Tanner finish.
If you want the ability to end up using cloud storage and all of these things, you can use that on OneDrive or Google storage or any of these things, and you can pay $100 a month or $100 annually or whatever. But if you want to allow them to collect the data off of your data, you can post that crap to YouTube and literally set it to unlisted or private or whatever, and they'll never charge you a dime. And you're saying, well, I should have access to that data revenue as well. No, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. Facebook is a service that they pay a lot of money to keep those services up. And you're saying their margins are too high. I want a piece of that. All of the things of like, what are they collecting? And if I don't want to use the service anymore, I can have it off is all available to you now. So I disagree 100%.
Okay, when you upload your photo library to Apple, do you think they're just keeping it on a hard drive and just holding it there for you, and that they're just letting you access it whenever you want? What are
you talking? You pay for it.
I'm gonna finish my point.
You think it's a dumb drive?
When you upload your fucking photo library to Google Photos and you share it with your family and friends, you think that that's the end of the value that's being generated? That they're making a little bit of money?
I pay for it to be private.
Okay, to be private, and that's all you think that they do? Do you not think that they have access to all of the metadata of every photo that was taken? Do you not think that that trains facial recognition software? Do you not think that also has patterns of movement? Do you not? I mean, seriously, you don't think that is a way more value than the $3 that they're charging you a month?
Why is that bad? Why is that bad?
Yeah. What could possibly happen with the metadata?
Oh my God. You know how many civilizations have crumbled by what could possibly go wrong?
Carlos, let me ask you a question.
How many civilizations?
Why do you think we have 440 people here right now? Just simple question. How do you think we got 440 people to show up?
I did look this up just to make sure. You're talking about iCloud. I'm like, is iCloud even encrypted? No. So several years ago, basically, the FBI said, we don't want you to do this. So Apple said they shelved their project of encrypting it. Yeah. And so that's not even encrypted. Your iMessages are, but most of data stored on iCloud is not encrypted, thanks to the FBI not wanting that. Just FYI.
The reason we have 440 people here is because Google has so much data, because YouTube has 2 billion users that use it.
I just pointed out a real thing.
You gotta stop cutting me off.
No, you have to stop cutting me off, okay? Because you've been talking all fucking night.
But
why don't you listen to what we're actually saying? I just told you an important fact that FBI is actually intervening in Apple's business.
No, I agree. That's a good point.
A capitalist empire, and you totally moved on from that like it didn't matter.
No, you're proving me and Tanner's point.
You don't understand why data is important. That's why.
No, you're proving me and Tanner's point that obviously if the FBI can't stop it, how are they going to stop Google? That's me and Tanner's point. I thought you were making a point.
You're missing why privacy is important because you keep thinking that Google has to pay you 10%. You're missing the actual fact why privacy is important.
Yes.
So you want the FBI.
You keep using your brain and Tanner's, the 25-year-olds who think they know so much that it's important that we leave capitalists alone while the government chooses winners all the time. Capitalists are not left alone. That's the reality of the situation. So all we're saying is that we should control some of our data as it moves forward through the fucking internet. That's it.
This is a gray solution. Obviously, I'm not saying that.
And ask the Russian exactly. I would know.
no oversight. This is not a black and white issue. But the idea that we have some sort of massive problem right now, and that the young people that are going along with allowing some data to get a proper, amazing service is some sort of problem is not that big of a deal. Okay. And is it 100% no problem? No. Okay. And is it 100% a problem? No. I mean, I'm not a bomb shelter type person. I don't have food stored in my basement and all this stuff and gallons of water. I'm not a doomsdayer. Okay.
Also,
and I don't
there
think
was a
people
case. There was a case 5 years ago where the FBI tried to invade into an iPhone and Apple said no. You got this was a pretty famous case, and Apple like didn't open the password for the FBI.
Yeah, and he was like known like because he said because what they said is the moment you create it's like a Thor's hammer. The moment you create that software, you can't uncreate that software. Do you understand? And here's the thing. This was part of this goes back to, I keep saying the fucking Patriot Act. You have to read that document, my man. You have to read that document. If you're going to talk to me about freedom and privacy and freedom of speech, you have to understand, like, part of what that allows people to do is I can retroactively go out in the past. You're saying it's no big deal because I'm just using it to optimize my search engine results to go to my Palantir page. What happens if something happens to you in the future that you feel really strongly about, politically speaking, and you try to use your platform to speak out? They can go back in time to the earliest breadcrumbs of you ever, and they're going to find something that's going to bury you, that is going to shut you down. And it sounds all conspiratory, but this is the idea. It's the idea of what you're allowing, the imbalance of power that has, being able to essentially go back in time and find everything, every photo you've ever taken, every email, every text, everything. If you look, you're going to find something. And the idea is like, it wasn't always like that. We didn't grow up in that world. That people had like autonomy, like it's the idea of like when we were 15, Vitaly and I did stupid things that if we did them today, 10 years from now, we would not be hireable because we made mistakes. And you don't have that.
Imagine it's on Instagram and Facebook and Google. And
this is what I'm saying. You don't understand. And it's like, it's the same reason why you don't want like, they don't let 16-year-olds get tattoos because it's like, oh, you need your parents' permission because that's going to be something you might regret when you're 80. But you're giving kids access to these things and they're creating breadcrumbs, and it's a permanent record that never goes away. And it's being stored by these companies. It's also being monetized by these companies.
But you don't think that'll change a little bit of the way society just like looks at 15-year-olds' actions instead? Like, people are growing up now becoming politicians that have had the internet since they were 13. You're seeing massive creators that have said terrible things online, but really a good apology and you know what, I was young and
what's
dumb.
The over under on that one?
A lot of people go, you know what, they were really young and really dumb, and they're different now.
No, no. That's not what happens. They're different now. What happens now is you said something once and you were 15, you're canceled and you just don't get to participate.
No, you're talking about 2018, 2019 stuff.
No.
The pendulum shifts.
Now
the pendulum changes. The cancel culture is eroding very quickly.
I don't know what planet you're living on, but that's not Earth. That's not today.
I'm not.
I have two things. Exactly. I have two things. Number one, just going back to your point, Carlos, real quick. This idea that they can go back and see everything you've done in breadcrumbs, that is the state of the internet. That is not changing. There is no government ever that's going to stop Google from going back in time to seeing what you posted on the internet. I agree with Tanner's point that as a society, we have to be more forgiving, that Amit said some stupid shit at 10 years old on Facebook and not kill him for that, which I do think the pendulum is switching, versus legislate that Google isn't allowed to access my stupid Facebook post.
My issue is with your, just fundamentally with your statement that the internet is this way and it's not going to change.
So I have an answer for why. This is a one sentence answer that I'm gonna let you talk for the next 5 minutes. The 462 people that are here, the only reason those people are here, which means a lot to me and a lot to us as content creators, is because for free, we made a video and YouTube had all that data that you're saying is so evil and got these people to find us. And that matters for content discovery.
I'm not saying
that outweighs everything in my opinion. Go ahead.
I never said that.
But that's
but that's Carlos's point.
But that's fine. There's levels to this. It's fine. I'm not saying that we should get rid of all of it. But what I'm saying is the piece that you're seeing, what you're giving up for this little piece that you're seeing that is being pushed to you as being so valuable, is you're giving up a lot more than what you think. And if it ever becomes important to you, it's too fucking late. If you ever have to experience what the consequences are, it's too fucking late. You know what I'm saying?
I think being a creator and having the opportunity to have a platform and raising money for my startup,
okay, that's you.
YouTube,
that's you.
That's a really big deal to me.
Hold on, but I'm saying there's regular people who aren't on YouTube who are same thing is happening to them. All I'm saying, at least, maybe not exactly what Carlos is saying. Forget about the money issue. You should just be able to say to Google, erase all my data, everything you've tracked, everything you've recorded on me, everything.
Legally,
Get rid of it completely. Remove it from your models. No, you can't. What the hell?
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. Tanner, you cannot. Okay, here's the thing.
You're living in a dream, Tanner. You're living in a dream. And by the way, I have lots of Google stock. I'm fine with them using it right now because I make money on it.
In your terms of service.
If I'm not mistaken, this was literally passed law, and that you can go on and see that all the gigabytes or even I don't know how long you've been on the internet, but you see all the gigs that they have tracked of
we've been on
your
since
entire Google relationship, and you can delete it.
When all my data could fit on a thumb drive. Anyway, we're not gonna settle.
I mean, this goes into an even broader point. If they can legislate how much of a dividend.
What's the page that I can go to on Amazon, Google, Meta, Apple? What's the page I can go to erase all my data from the internet?
You know what? As
Tell
an
me
example,
that page. By the way, hold on. I tried to erase my name from something I didn't like a long time, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I had to go contact individual websites to do it.
There are. Dude, you're
right, and even then,
there should be like an internet body. There should be an internet body that sort of aggregates this data. And you say, delete me from the internet. You should be able to do that.
Just go right now. Your data on the blockchain.
Yeah. Try to right now delete your.
I just triggered him.
Just try right now to delete your Facebook account and tell them you want the data. Just go and.
They're like, are you sure? We'll hold on to it.
How difficult?
I've done this before. It's not as crazy as you guys are saying, guys.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I've done
this.
As crazy. You can literally download an Excel sheet with. I've done this, but
no. You're downloading.
This is a boomer argument. I'm sorry to say, it's a boomer argument.
And also everything you've ever uploaded, even if you upload something to Facebook and then you delete it, like you upload a photo to Facebook that you regret and you delete it, it stays on their server and they have the right to it. You're giving it to them.
But are they going to show that? Are they going to show it to the world or something? Like, what do you say?
No. But you have to understand, it's not valuable because they're going to show it to people for ads. This is the thing. You keep thinking that it's about like showing ads. It's not about that. It's not about that. Like the ad part is important to them on some level.
Go on, Vitaly Carlos, 78%. We're done, baby.
Because most of the audience is older.
Like and subscribe.
Well, no, here's the other thing. Here's the cliffhanger I'll leave you on. If you say they should legislate how much of a dividend they have to pay to people, that's a very slippery slope to, hey, these people can't say that thing. Let's make sure they don't say this stuff.
What do you mean?
Dude, okay.
If they have to legislate, can I finish?
I want to hear this.
If they have to, if you got to go, you can leave. We can. I'm still here.
No, I was going to say something. Go ahead.
Okay, my quick point is, if they can legislate, Google, you have to pay XYZ cents per every search or whatever other crazy metric you come up with to divide the pie. It's a very slippery slope to Google. This person's saying something we don't really like. Don't give them the searches today because we want Biden to win. There's too much Trump stuff being posted. These people should get a little bit less. I mean, it can get very political when you get the government to legislate. That's why I'm like, Carlos, you're the biggest capitalist I know. For you to make that argument to me,
because you're fundamentally misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding the data that I'm talking about. In other words, the search that you do, you think that it's about me going on Google saying leaf blower, and then they go, oh shit, Carlos wants a leaf blower. But it's not just about that. It's the time of day that I did that. It's where did I do that? It's
but
what
the search is what matters the most.
What IP
was I doing? It's what was I doing before I did that? Did I send that link to someone? What did that person do? It's that. It's the entire ecosystem around the data. So yeah, they're going to make a little bit of money if they send me an ad to it. But it's much more that there's much more metadata within that data is what I'm talking about. The metadata on the data you create is I would say as exponentially large as the options chain in the stock market is to the stock market. You're talking about buying and selling stocks, and I'm talking about the options market that you don't see in the background. That would be the best metaphor.
Here's a way I can also frame it differently. I forgot to mention this, that even though, let's say you can remove all your data from Google, the fact is the number of agreements they have, the websites you've been on through all of your Google history, you know how many ad networks have got your data that Google doesn't control at the same time, and how many other places it exists? It is everywhere and you have no control over it. Okay. And it's not just on Google servers. That's the problem. So even if I got Google to do anything, it's still in a million other places because Google.
That's my point. That's why trying to get rid of it is impossible because that's how the internet.
Well, because there's no legislation for it yet. That's why.
But so I think the problem is, and like, this will be my last point to this, is just going back to the idea of like, we're not understanding how good these services are and the benefits that we've gotten for giving our data. Like everyone, of course, no one wants any sort of, breadcrumb trail to everything that they've done on the internet. So of course the poll is going to win. But then whenever a country like Canada takes that away and says, oh, you're going to have to start paying for this, Facebook says,
paying for what? Paying
fuck
for what?
that, I'm out.
Paying for news, news, for example, right?
Paying for what?
Yeah. So
for Canada's trying to make Facebook pay the actual Toronto Star a couple cents on the dollar for every website they publish to Facebook. And that's what happens. That's Tanner's point, is it becomes a slippery slope, because now it's like Facebook's like, hey, we can't run a business. Like our stock dropped 80% last year. We barely recovered because we showed some profits. Now we got to pay these Canadian publishers, even though we're driving them the fucking traffic. And now you're legislating us. This is what Canada's doing is basically your point, Carlos. The people that create the content deserve a cut of the pie. And if you do that at scale, 3 billion people a day on Facebook, there's no business to Facebook.
Yeah,
Here's
and
why.
you know
Here's why
They
what you're saying
left.
makes no. Here's
They
why what you're
left.
saying. No, hold on. This is why what you're saying makes no sense. Okay, if I'm saying, let's just say it's 1%. You pay the user 1% of the value of the data that they generate, the value that they generate. There's no way they're going to go bankrupt. It's never going to exceed 1%.
Well, so I did the math for you. Then they're going to get
why
1.2 cents.
1%?
They're going to get 1.2 cents. I just did the math for you. They're going to get one of Google's revenue. They're going to get 1 cent if you divide it equally across everyone. And if that's what you're fighting for,
you wouldn't do it
Mazel tov.
equally.
No.
First of all, you wouldn't
Yeah,
do it
why
equally.
1%? People would be fighting for 50%.
No,
Why? Where's this magical
I'm just
number?
using a random number because
In
you make it
communist
seem like
Google, we give you 50%.
Like
it's not about that. It's also
Microsoft rewards.
Let Carlos
Microsoft
finish. Let
Rewards
Carlos
gives
finish.
you
Go
more
ahead.
than
Carlos, go
1%
ahead.
right now.
you're making it seem like if I'm saying that people should get a cut of the value, it's like this: if you help me go to the mine and pull out the diamonds, right? But I do like 80% of the work, I should get 80% of the profits, right? And you can help me with 20%. The same sort of deal. You're helping me say mine this data, and there's value.
You must
generated
not
at
know
the
how
end of it.
mining works in the third world.
I guess.
No, but my point, Carl,
But
in
we're
all
not
seriousness, there's
trying to be
3
serious
billion
here, Vitaly.
there's
No, but
3
it's true.
billion
Do you know how
people.
mining works? You take slave labor and you put them
I
in
know.
and you get
I
cobalt
know.
out of it, and then you put it into the EVs. And then,
Right.
Look, to Tanner's point, we are the product, okay? And I'm okay with that because the service Facebook provides me and YouTube provides me is greater than me feeling like Facebook taking advantage of me. And maybe that's because I'm a creator and I'm like, oh, I get kind of what it feels like, all this stuff. But the idea that 3 billion people deserve to get compensated 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, whatever it is, it destroys shareholder value. It is anti-capitalist. In the name of privacy, it turns into free speech at one point. Sorry,
Okay.
at one point.
Here's
and
the
then it
thing:
goes
you live in New Jersey, right? Or you live in the tri-state area. Your data in that metropolitan center, in that sort of metropolis, is worth more than say the data in a smaller town somewhere else.
Correct.
Right? The localized data of what people are doing in a small town in like Wichita, Kansas, is not
Yes.
as valuable as the data that you're creating, because you have so many touch points throughout your day. You go out in your day, you're say much more of a consumer. You take, what days does it take public transportation versus not? When he drives, what's the prices that he paid every single time it was gas? You know, do you understand how you can create, it's like a tremendous amount of data on the population just
Yes.
based on their habits. Even if you just track their money, literally just tracking the money, you can find out a lot about somebody. And now you're talking about knowing everything that they do, every photo that they take, every message that they send, and all of the overlapping like Venn diagrams of who they're connected with, their social circles, everything that they like and dislike, right? Because if you're on like Reddit, you can upvote
What's
and
the
downvote.
point?
What I'm saying is it's a tremendous amount of value that this data is created when you amplify. It's like a network effect. It's amplified.
Yeah.
the
Now
more
imagine
people are
paying.
on
Now
it.
imagine the cost for paying for Google search,
people
or
in the
Facebook
city,
or something
no.
if there was a subscription for it for no data. It'd
I
be
think
ridiculous.
I think it should be two ways. They should ask you to opt in, and you should be able to track the data that you're generating and basically the value that you're generating for them.
And so, but
then
what
if you
happens
opt
whenever
out-
companies do that? What like look at a company like Spotify. Okay, you have paid users, or then you have the people that will sit and wait, data collection, and get ads. And those users are way more popular than the paid subscriptions through
They make more money. They have more margins on those users.
Wait, say it again.
They make
that's not
to Tanner's point. What I'm saying is the premium users don't make any money for Spotify because the record
That's
labels
not
take.
true.
Well, currently, if you look at their balance sheet, the record labels take 65 cents out of every dollar. So out of the $10, $6.5 goes to the record labels, which means you have $4.5 to play with. that's kind of, I think the point is, if Google, you start paying them $10 a month, $12 a month, the service gets worse because there's no data for them to aggregate to be actually able to serve.
I never said, I'm not saying that I think that should be a tier. I think that you should be able to have a tier where you can pay these companies and say, I don't want you tracking any of my data, and I'll pay a small fee, because to your point, they are providing a service that I should pay for, right? If I'm not paying for it with my data, then I'll pay for it with a small subscription fee. Fine. But by and large, people aren't going to do it. So
are you saying Google should pay billions of dollars to people in LA
for this? No one wants to pay for their services. They're fine with the current setup now.
Because they're fine with it now because they've never been offered an option, and they don't really know. They don't know the cost of it to them, and they also don't know the value that they're generating. It's not said to you. It's not spoken to you. Just like when they take your freedoms away, they say they frame it in with respect to your convenience, right? It's about convenience or safety, right? That's how they frame it. They don't tell you what you're giving up.
In the context of the metropolis, like a metropolitan area like New York, how much do you want Google to pay for all that data that's generated, as you said, that's way better than Wichita, Kansas? Like, what, they should give out hundreds of millions of dollars?
Okay, what I'm saying is you get Palantir to be able to take their AI software and tell us the actual value. I'm actually making an argument that I think Karp would make, and this is why I don't understand why you disagree with it.
Because I disagree with Karp on this. I fundamentally disagree with Karp on this. This is stupid. Facebook provides great services, and the value would be billions of dollars, which means there's no shareholder. Like, if the market's going to tank Google because they can barely get above last year's growth, you think them paying billions, which is what it's going to be, by the way, for my data in New York, given all the things I touch throughout the day and get ads for, like, they're not going to have any money to give back to shareholders, is my point. That's how, like, otherwise your point doesn't make sense, because if they barely give you a dividend, then why the fuck am I going through this? They need to make it worth my while. If they make it worth my while across 3 billion people, there's not enough money left for shareholders. That
no, but what you're asking for,
Google to be $1 trillion company.
You're saying that I'm asking for a 25% share. I'm not saying that.
How much do you want?
But okay, so Carlos,
that's a different argument.
So weird, though.
That's a different argument. We have to get to the point first where we agree that it has value and that people have a right to that privacy. And if they're generating data for companies, they should be compensated. We have to get to that agreement first. Then how you break that down, it's like whatever. It's like the conversation about reparations. First, you got to agree that that they should be paid. Then you argue like the details.
The problem is it's so philosophical. I agree we should give reparations, but how do you practically give 40 acres and a mule to every black person in America? The practical side fails, even if you ideologically believe
that's part of the discussion. But what I'm saying is, just because you can't see a way that it can work, it doesn't mean that it disqualifies it from being the right thing to do. And more often than not, for the sake of capitalism, we ignore what is the right thing to do because it's just too hard. It's just a lot easier to do it this way. But you notice how it's always the easiest thing is always the thing that fucks over the little guy, and always seems to benefit the corporations and government.
So let me ask you this. This is actually just
wait. I was Vitaly, just real quick. I think it's really weird that if the whole idea that this data collection is this breadcrumb that could F you over for the rest of your life for any potential future careers or anything is worth 1% of your AdSense. What if you have this strong of a political stance, then you would still be on DuckDuckGo. Who would care about the 22 cents a month?
No, look, I don't know what the percentage is, Tanner, but the conversation is not about.
Yeah, you're stuck on a number.
Yeah, it's about
there's no percentage.
It's about do you think that you have the right to that, and do you not think that you're, say, being taken advantage of under the guise of convenience? That's all it is.
Okay, I want to take this off the table. Forget about any percentage. The company doesn't have to pay anybody anything. I'm saying you should just control your data and completely have it eliminated if you want it from all services at any time that you want. That's all I'm saying. Forget about this 10% or 1%. That doesn't matter. The point is you control your data, and we can still use all the services if we want. If we want to participate and say, Facebook, you can have it. I can have advertising search specifically to me, but I have to opt into that specifically. And at the minute I don't want to do it, I could remove it all. And there is no option like this. This is all I'm saying.
Vitaly, if there was an option, how many people would opt in? Let's give you that argument.
No, so maybe the 25-year-old will. I don't care about this.
We'll say no. Yeah.
And then that's fine. And
wait,
then
so you're going to opt into that?
Are you listening?
Get rid of all your data.
25-year-old like you would say, I'm fine with all my data being collected right now. But maybe when you're around 50, you're like, you know what? I don't want to be participating in this anymore. You get to remove it all from the system, and then you feel better about it because.
Or better yet, Vitaly, you might be like,
forget about anyone getting paid.
Hold on,
Google gets to make all the money. everything stays the same.
Or Amit, you might say, you know what, I'm 25, so I don't give a fuck. But I promise you, the moment you have a kid, you're gonna be like, I want to know every bit of fucking data, every photo, everything that's happening with my child, everything that they're doing.
Wait, so let me ask you and Vitaly, would you opt into that today? If Google said, hey, we're going to eliminate Vitaly from the internet, would you opt into that, Carlos and Vitaly? Right,
what do you mean eliminate Vitaly?
As in, like,
why do you want to eliminate me from the
why are you trying to get rid of Vitaly?
No. This is a good point. All right, let me just give it to Vitaly because you brought it up. That option you just said about erasing all my data at 46 years old, if they were like, hey, Vitaly, do you want to opt in? Would
Who's
you say
46 here? Carlos, you?
I'm 46. Yeah, I'm the old man.
Anyway, go ahead.
Would you opt in? Because I have a feeling you wouldn't opt in because then
no, I wouldn't right now because I'm a public personality. That's different.
Right, because he's a YouTube
I'm out
star,
there, baby. But I'm saying,
no, but forget content. Let's say you want like good YouTube recommendations.
Hold on, there's some people in the chat who I don't even know their names. They're fucking called The Thinker. Okay, so my point is, some of those people want to be anonymous for a reason. They don't have their full names, so they want to opt out of certain things. That should
no,
be
they don't because they want good recommendations.
I'll tell you what,
that should be a choice. Hold on, it should be a choice where yes, I'll opt into YouTube and give me good recommendations there, but don't use it on Google services. Don't use it on Gmail. Don't use it on this.
Tanner, are you a choice?
Look, I'm just saying it should be a choice. It's not going to happen.
Actually,
Google owns YouTube. YouTube's valuable. YouTube lost a month for 15 years because of Google.
I know it's valuable.
I want to make a point to you. Like, you have to understand. Like,
are you telling me Google's valuable? I was alive before you knew what Google was.
I'm telling you, and this is something you guys don't understand. You have to accept this. When AOL first came out and it was on dial-up, like that was me and Vitaly dialing up on little modems. We've been there from the beginning. Okay, a lot of the first. We were
looking at.
All you needed,
let
me finish. All you needed to access most websites was a username and a password. When it started to switch over that, okay, now you have an email, then it was like, no, now we need the email. They were like, we need it for verification.
Now we need the phone.
Right? Now you need a phone. Now you need a fingerprint scan. You need a face ID. You understand? It became over like authentic.
Yeah, but you're not giving any credit to all the security from lost money, from stolen bank accounts, for all the other reason other than they just want more data on you.
By the way, that is still happening. So I don't know what you're talking. It's happening on a massive scale right now. Massive.
Of course,
scale.
but both sides have to compete in data security. The defenders and the attackers are getting stronger. It's a rise to the top always.
No. Tanner's point is that there was a trade-off with that innovation, like your fingerprint, i.e., I can open this fucking phone super quickly when they see my face, which I think is good because everyone says Apple doesn't innovate. Face ID, it was intrusive, but it was innovative.
It's not intrusive. No, it's not intrusive because that data is stored locally.
Oh, you don't think Apple's not doing anything with that facial recognition?
Listen, unless they're breaking a law, that data, the data, the Face ID is stored on a separate chip that is hardware keyed to that phone.
So you just believe Apple.
By the way,
at some point you have.
I believe Apple.
The government, correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat, but your face and your fingerprints are not considered basically your personal, like what's in your brain. So they can get it out of you just by taking your fingerprints away from you and accessing all your data.
That's the way I've understood it as well.
But the password that you put into your head, like just like a Bitcoin address or whatever, that's actually privacy. So we need to change some other things too, basically, because my biometrics are not private. If I get arrested for some reason and they want all my data on the phone, boom, they take my finger without me allowing it even.
I agree. Like I said, this is not a black and white issue. And I even agree with a lot of the things that you guys have said. But I also think it's
What do you agree with? What do you agree with?
Yeah.
Well, I agree that if you want the right to be forgotten, sure, go ahead. But then you don't have the right to also use any of the services. You don't get to pick and choose what Google service you get to use because...
Hey, Carlos, you disagree with that? You think people have a right
that's unbelievable that you said no. That's unbelievable.
Because what you're doing is you're using an extreme case. I'm not talking about the right to be forgotten and then saying either I'm remembered forever or I can't use a Google search. But you're also the guy saying it's a gray area. That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, but how does the argument hold up if Tanner's point is you have the right to be forgotten and then you don't use the service and you're like, no,
Google as the parent company, but like Google as the parent company has loss leading products. Google Chrome is not a large revenue generating product for them. You don't get to delete your data off of YouTube and then go and use Google Chrome. Okay, it's a private company. You can't walk in. Companies can say, no, you have to buy something before you go in the bathroom. You know what I mean? It's no different.
Okay, this would be the same thing as if AT&T said the only way that we can keep the business open is if we record all your conversations and we know that what you're talking about, so we can sell it to advertisers, so they can call you up on the phone
business
and
model.
sell you ads.
That was their business model.
AT&T is a telecommunications company. That's an advertising company.
And you're going to have to accept a couple of these robocalls per day where people are just going to call you to try to sell you shit, because that's the only way we can have you make any phone calls, Tanner. Would you be okay with that?
But then Carlos, it wouldn't then.
Would you be okay with that? Does that sound logical? But what I'm saying is, does that sound
no, Carlos, no, listen.
Tanner the dictator, yes.
No, Tanner's answer is very simple. Tanner would just go.
Hold on, let finish.
Tanner would just go to Verizon. That doesn't do that, and the best product would win. That's the answer.
Exactly.
The problem is we haven't switched from Google because there is no product that does it better. Because if phone ads are way more intrusive than seeing some links. That's the difference.
If there was a phone carrier like AT&T that wanted to offer you those services, but you pay no dollars per month, but you get advertisements, there will be signups for that 100%. Okay. It's just people get to pick and choose what option they want. If people want to pay a flat fee for their services, they can do that. And there might be some search engine or something like this that would charge you $100 a month.
Look, wait. I want to just answer this. The difference is AT&T has no way of monetizing the calls that they're giving you on their pipeline. They have no way of monetizing the data that you're creating on their pipeline. It's a voice conversation going back and forth. Google has infinite ways of monetizing the traffic that you are generating for them. So what I'm saying is, you are paying for Google. You're paying for Facebook. You're paying for Instagram. You're just paying for it with data. If it wasn't valuable, they wouldn't be collecting it. It's like FSD. Why do you think they're collecting data? Because the data is all that they give a shit about. Why is Tesla giving cars away at a lower margin? Because the data is all they give a shit about. The data is the fucking oil. They have done such a good job of convincing guys like you that data is not that valuable, that you think guys like me and Vitaly sound fucking crazy. And what we're trying to do is let you know that you're being sold a scam. It's actually very valuable. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
How did we get to 2 hours today?
Do we want to make it a wrap?
No,
this is good. This is awesome. This is good. Got heated. Good discussion.
I blame Kelly. Kelly predicted this.
Kelly started all this.
Kelly started. It's always her fault.
Somehow. Yeah. All right, this is awesome. Look, I know, regardless of like whether we agree or disagree, I think the discussion was very valuable at the end of the day for a lot of people. We've held about 450 people here the whole time. So
the chat,
it just shows how lonely some of these people are.
Yeah, why are you listening to us? Why are you listening to us? Like, subscribe, follow.
This is good because it was 2 25-year-olds versus 2 40-year-olds, and I think it was a good. Like, you guys have valid points, and I think we have valid points, and I think
you're really don't.
Anyway, no, I the thing is, here's
the most Vitaly answer I've ever heard.
Even if I disagree with your guys' points, I understand why you believe that. Do you understand? I totally understand, because I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, of course, if I wasn't born in the 90s or in the 70s and grew up in the 80s and ran around and did everything they had to do and left my house with no phone all day and like grew up that way. Like, the internet came out when we were like in our 20s, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you were 5. It's such a big deal. It's like, it's like video games, right? Like, our parents saw you playing video games and were like, why don't you guys go outside? And you're like, video games aren't hurting us. You know, we just want to play video games with our friends. And they're like, go outside and play, baseball. And it's that same thing, I guess, for every generation. But I think here, it's a lot more dangerous than like, it's about health. And that's what parents were. They wanted you to get out and be social. They wanted you not to get physically unfit. But now it's a whole different ballgame. And there's a different level of accountability for teenagers now, and consequences for them, access to predators worldwide, that it's very different ball game. And I would love for you to read the page.
All right, that'll be part 2 tomorrow, guys. Stay tuned. Like and subscribe. You stayed this long. You obviously
like and subscribe.
You obviously like the
discussion was obviously
dislike or fucking dislike it.
Like
whatever it is.
Like and subscribe.
Don't like it. Don't dislike it. Google's gonna have too much information on you. Don't do anything. Just exit out. Let's delete this history.
And we didn't see. This is what happens when we don't talk about Tesla.
This is what happens. We get into
what's the other one?
This is good. I don't think the pod has ever went into this direction, because it's intersecting companies and their relationship with data to like ethics and then business models, which is a really good discussion to me. So
at the end of the day, by the way, I want to make money. I am buying Google. I am buying Meta. I am buying Amazon, and maybe I'll buy some Apple as soon as they start using my data properly. So
it's the only way to make money on.
That's a true capitalist, by the way. Okay.
And final thing, Vitaly is a public figure, so he will not be deleting.
No, I will not be deleting. Yes, nothing.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm cursing everyone in the chat to get ads about raccoon removal from Jamaica, raccoon removal in Jamaica. Let's see what happens.
All
That'd be
right,
fun if
don't
people
forget,
actually have those
it's
ads.
another day tomorrow to look at Enphase.
All right, we'll be back
Yeah.
tomorrow.
See you
Tanner,
later.
thank you for joining us.
Right.
Appreciate you
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun.